Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
And home of Mornings with Brian. This is Moody Radio Cleveland. WCRF Cleveland. WVMS Sandusky. WVML Millersburg. WVMN Newcastle. WVME Meadville. WVMU Ashtabula. And everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Nikki Haley says she's still in it to win it, or at least to give GOP voters an option other than former President Trump. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. Haley lost to Trump in Saturday's South Carolina Republican primary. That's the state where she served as governor. Haley told supporters that she's a woman of her word and will continue campaigning for the White House. Youngstown City Schools Dean of Students has been placed on leave following a weekend arrest. Shivas Whipple was taken into custody on Saturday on domestic violence charges. Whipple also serves as the head coach of the Youngstown East boys basketball team. And Cleveland's public safety director is resigning from his position. The city announced Friday morning that Kerry Howard submitted his resignation, and the resignation is effective immediately. Police Chief Dornett Drummond will be filling that role of interim public safety director for the time being. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Pastors have to make tons of decisions, including what to do to meet healthcare needs for themselves and their staff. Christian Healthcare Ministries specializes in making healthcare decisions easy and affordable. Not insurance, but a health cost sharing ministry for over 40 years. CHM opens the door for individuals, families, and yes, pastors to be a part of a biblical way to meet medical bills. Get more information and answers to your questions at chministries.org/Moody. That's chministries.org/Moody.
In sports, the Cavaliers defeated the Wizards 114-105. The Blue Jackets downed the Rangers 4-2, and the Penguins edged the Flyers 7-6. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast, and it's a good one. Partly cloudy skies and warmer today with highs in the lower 60s. At last check, clear skies, 44 degrees in Cleveland, 37 in Akron and Canton, 37 in Ashtabula as well.
It's time for your Moron Moment.
The ultimate goal of National Eating Disorders Association Week, celebrated in the last week of February each year, is to promote awareness of eating disorders and to spread hope for those in recovery and their families. Although there are many main factors like genetics that are responsible for eating disorders, they can commonly co-occur with other mental health issues like anxiety, major depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and social phobia. Some of the possible symptoms associated with eating disorders include constantly feeling cold, fainting, sleeping issues, weight fluctuations, dizziness, weakness, and impaired immunity. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:03. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine studio, it's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Happy Monday, guys. Hey, Ron,
Hey there.
look at you. You look great.
Well, thank you.
People should watch the live stream to see that. You know who looks even better? Daria.
Mm-hmm.
Morning.
Aw, hi. How are you?
And then I'm great. It was a good weekend. Lauren's here too, of course. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Lauren looks great too.
Yeah, she looks the best of all. I mean, I don't know. I set myself up for that. I had to say it. So we were looking at walk-worthy numbers over the weekend, and they looked pretty amazing. What's the current number?
How many do we have? How many tickets have we sold?
Yeah.
846.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Almost
that's-
sold out.
Over 100 more than last year this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
So-
I keep telling people that, I don't want you to miss out. Ron will scold you through the window as you
Yeah.
stand outside crying or whatever it is in the rain.
And
Okay.
don't cry.
I'll be sitting there with my donut, eating it, smiling at them and going, shame, shame, you knew better.
I feel like it'll be 2 donuts, one in each hand, and you'll be doing
Maybe
the
I'll rub
naughty
the-
thing with
yeah.
the donut.
I might.
Yeah.
Or,
As you
or
could
just stick donut
Put it
holes on
back
the
in.
tips of my fingers.
You're totally good.
Mm-hmm.
Ew. You could say like, oh, they have like 200 or 300-ish left. Yeah, but there's volunteers. There's all of our
Yeah.
team. There's the staff. Those all add into the final count of the location.
So
So-
we're in serious danger, especially the last week. All the last minute Larrys show up, and
They remember,
yeah.
even though we've been telling them for 3 months.
So I think we're in serious danger of sellout.
Mm-hmm.
It's not danger because that's what we want. But
Good point.
if you haven't gotten your ticket, you're in danger.
There you go.
We're not in danger. We have our tickets, but you are.
It just makes me more nervous because there's all those people looking at us.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can't wait to see you. Hope you get your ticket so you don't have Ron with all his donuts
Yeah,
scolding you.
because I will have plenty of donuts.
Text WALK to 440-546-2255. Also, we had a new sign of spring, guys. And I like the way Lauren phrased it when I was chatting with her about it. Cody, my donkey, has the zoomies.
Aww.
Wow, that must be fun to watch.
Yeah, we took him. We have our pasture on our property divided in sort of in half, and we only let them out in one area, and it's just kind of worn down from the winter. And so we just walked him over to the other pasture, and that dude was running like he's a stallion, wild stallion
Aw.
/ donkey.
Do you have a video of that?
Yes, I do. I should send it to you.
Yeah, I'll share it on Facebook. So look for that later.
He was all zoomy. The goats were kind of overwhelmed. Like, look
Yeah.
at this guy. He's running around.
They were just kind of standing there.
And he even got so crazy, he scratched his little nose on a stick when he was running around. Poor guy. And Sarah was like, I think he's bleeding a little bit. Look at it. I couldn't. He was too busy zooming
Yeah.
He's fine.
and eating. Oh, he was so happy about the other grass over
New
there.
grass.
Yep. So spring is here. Forget Puxatawny Phil. We've got Cody the zoomy donkey. He's started running. So spring is here. Although it'll be like 60 today or something, won't it?
Yeah.
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 What in the world? It's like Sarah and I were asking, is this it? Like, is this?
Is it time?
Have you ever seen the chart of the weather seasons in Ohio where it's, winter, fake spring, second winter,
I think Fool's Spring.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the different, and then it's finally spring.
I always predict snow on Easter. That happens many, many years.
Yeah,
So it's still possible. Thanks for ruining my dreams.
you're welcome.
I was driving around in my tractor, starting to do some spring projects. Dude, look at you laughing
It's
at me.
been nice.
Look at you driving around your tractor. Why was
Got
that
too
so
excited.
funny?
You got too excited.
Yeah, it was.
It's too soon. It's February still.
It was hard not to get out there and start doing stuff.
I know.
Anybody else?
Yeah, we got seeds over the weekend for our garden.
I knew it. You got the fever.
Yeah.
Fever.
We got seeds too. We went to Menards and we separated. We had 2 carts. We separated. It was a
Divide and
a
conquer.
glorious day of getting various outdoor things.
We were at Walmart yesterday, and Jimmy sees the seed display they finally put up, and he's like, look, there's seeds.
And he bought some.
We bought seeds.
Is he going to use his special dirt from Florida?
Yes.
Wow.
I wonder if we should tell the Department of Agriculture in Ohio that he brought in illegal
Imported
soil.
dirt, yeah.
Imported dirt.
Actually, I think you can transport dirt from state to state.
I assume so.
He literally boxed up, he had special dirt, boxed it up in cardboard boxes, and made his friends load it on our moving truck.
How much?
I don't know. My garage is just a wall of dirt stacked to the ceiling.
He's got a green thumb, that Jimmy.
He does. He had like 17 spaghetti squash last year.
Ooh.
Nice.
So you mean we're going to have spaghetti
Love a
squash
spaghetti
this
squash.
year?
If it grows, Ohio soil is different from Florida soil.
Fear not.
You brought Florida soil with
Go
you.
ahead. Go ahead. Put the thing in there. I said, fear not. You've got Florida soil.
Yeah.
So we will expect at least one spaghetti squash.
We'll try.
I could start
We'll split
bartering
it
with
up.
you like it's the olden days.
Yeah.
I got some eggs. You got any squash?
We got tomatoes. We're going to have some herbs.
Wow. All right. Ron, did you do anything outside? You fill up the pool yet?
I siphoned water off the top of the pool.
Oh, good.
Which is a helpful step. We went out with the grandkids and used the swings and stuff, played around in the mud.
So all you guys, oh, no, Brian, it's still going to snow. It's not spring yet. You're enjoying spring. Thank you. I win. It wasn't a competition, but I won anyway.
I don't remember saying.
I feel like you were all trying to ruin my fun. I'm like, it's the spring. And you're like, no, it's not.
47 degrees. It's still winter out there.
It's going to snow on Easter, Brian.
I think Ron and I are realists.
Yeah. It's just going to come and go, warm and cold.
We're not trying to rain on your parade. It's just rain
just did.
happens.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Everyone get prepared for a cold because the weather's going to go 60 to 30 to 60.
Is that true?
What?
You've been following the forecast? Or
no.
you're just predicting?
We're actually due for some potential tornadoes tomorrow and into Wednesday.
Oh, great.
Saw that this morning.
Well, that makes sense.
Because this warm weather is going to be hit by a cold front.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
If you're a meteorologist.
Or if you know how to Google.
And then
well,
there's
I'm not
this
either of those things.
norovirus and the gastrointestinal stuff going around.
Oh, yeah. A
and-
lot of people are
What?
real sick.
Norovirus? Really?
Yeah, the COVID's dropping some, but the norovirus, where people have problems both directions.
That's stomach flu, essentially, is what we call
Yeah.
that, right?
Yep.
My
Who's
friend
got
had
that?
it all through her whole family.
My
What?
A 1.5-year-old, 3-year-old, then her.
Oh, no.
That's rough.
Oh, no.
I might have it. I was with the grandkids and
Keep your hands off me.
Ron, you stay in that glass.
I know.
if you see me quick make a run to the bathroom, you'll know I've got it.
Well, coming up in just a minute, another essential question that must be resolved. Do you need to shower every day? Science has an answer, and we'll get to it here in just a few minutes.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Watching your hard-earned dollars fly out the window on healthcare costs is so frustrating. But here's some great news. If you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing, a program out there can really help you with your medical bills, and it's worth taking a minute to look into. MediShare 65 Plus. It's not insurance. Members actually say it's better. It's a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith and where people encourage and pray for you. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. You choose any Medicare provider, and you get telehealth access anytime you need it. And this is great too. Unlike health insurance, you can lock in one low monthly price for up to 10 years. So don't get stuck with increasing costs. Call MediShare 65 Plus and find out how much you can save. Call 833-59-SHARE. That's 833-59-SHARE. 833-59-SHARE.
No matter your age or season of life, there's always something more to learn and skills to gain. Moody Enrich is Moody Bible Institute's new lifelong learning venue. The focus is on personal enrichment and professional development through video courses and e-courses starting at just $14.99. You'll gain life-changing understanding of Scripture and expand your ministry and professional skills. Explore the courses that may be of help and interest to you. Go to moody.edu/enrich. moody.edu/enrich. Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
620 WCRF, Mornings with Brian here. And I tell you what, if you have a child or a grandchild or yourself in college, there's been some all this kerfuffle about the FAFSA.
Yeah, something about they were going to delay when it goes out for the next year, and then people weren't getting payments until April or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen some notifications come through, but Sarah and I were talking about this yesterday because this is our first FAFSA experience / Parent Plus loans, all that business. Because my oldest daughter is our first to go to college. My level of understanding of what I did is at about 1%. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how easy it is to go in there. Hey, you want some money? Here, click this button. Done. Money. Yours. I'm like, what did I just do? I mean, I know I need to know this, and someone can scold me. Go ahead, 440-546-2255. But I really don't understand much of what's happening.
You just look down and your right arm and your right leg are disappearing.
That's slow.
That's all it cost you.
Yeah, exactly. But there's been some issues, and so what we did is, Lauren found this person from Malone University, and they are all about the finances and stuff.
She's the financial aid director at Malone.
That's what I meant. And she's going to be on the show on Thursday, right?
Yeah. So we want to collect questions for her.
So if you have questions about the FAFSA and all your financial aid and all that business for college, we thought this is something that a lot of families get touched by. So be listening in on Thursday, and you can put your questions in advance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just text in your questions.
440-546-2255, 440-546-2255. All right, so a quick poll here. I've got the actual survey results in front of me. It's from the New York Times about how many people shower every day. Ron Eastwood, do you shower every day? Live on the radio. You have to answer. You're a Christian, so you can't lie.
99%. There's the occasional off day where I might just not do it. It would be a Saturday. But other than that, yes, I shower every day.
I had a pastor friend years ago who was bald, but he shaved everything. And he said the greatest part about being bald is you don't have to shower every day and nobody knows. I was like, really? I'm not sure you should be proud of that.
Pastor, so he's probably not doing much physical. So sweating is not a problem for him.
Hey, have you ever, some serious prayer, Ron, you could start to sweat, right?
Well, yeah, if he was Spurgeon or
some of them get real animated.
Some of them do?
They're running, doing laps.
That's true. Mark Job running up and down the aisle.
Yeah.
We should tell him not to.
We should tell him this weekend again. You can't go up and down the aisle. Just see how long it takes him to run up and down the aisle.
He just doesn't. He won't listen.
Mm-hmm. Laura, do you shower every day?
No, I shower every other day.
Every other day. Yeah, I've heard, my wife's like that.
I don't do anything, so I'm not really stinky.
Yeah, I'm not judging you. I mean, there's no rule here. Daria, how about you?
Every day, but I don't wash my hair every day.
How often does that happen?
That's about every other day.
Every other, okay. I'm every day. I mean, it's not my fault my hair is so oily that if I don't shower every day,
I get it.
You guys are going to be like, ew, gross. What's wrong with you?
No, my second day hair, it's a scary place.
Mine does better on the second day.
I wish mine did.
Mine does not.
It looks scary.
I went to Menards yesterday looking a little crazy. I kept it to a whisper so nobody would recognize my voice and be like, are you okay? What happened to you?
That is always terrifying. Please don't no one find me out here in the wild looking like this.
In the wild?
Please.
Well, we try to look our best, all coiffed here, right, in front of the camera.
And you're not a hat guy at all, Brian, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's only because of the shape of my head is the problem.
Okay.
Like if you go, one size fits all. It doesn't. Let's just find the smallest one that, because some of them are like XXX, X, and then they have one that's like, small, medium. Put that in your head. And then I've got these gaps. I could put my whole hand up in there on the side of my head. I got a funny shaped, tiny head.
And get like a stocking cap that doesn't leave gaps. It just forms.
And I get itchy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What you're not wearing hats every day.
No, I look really silly in hats.
Why?
I don't know. I've tried. I look at it and I can't.
Some girls are all about that. Sometimes it's the fancy hat.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like a baseball hat, and they're just
baseball hats are really in right now.
But it doesn't work for you.
No.
I don't feel like you could pull it off.
No.
Daria, are you doing the hats?
When it's really sunny out, I'll put a hat on.
Sure, like you're doing gardening with Jimmy.
Yeah.
There you go. That's safe. Dermatologists would love you.
Mm-hmm.
So a recent study in 2021 of more than 5,700 adults found that 60% of Americans shower at least once a day. Mm-hmm. You ever shower twice a day?
I have before.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
If I'm out there working the farm. You're traipsing around and all the animal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes in the summer you need to.
Yeah.
Dermatologists say that many people do not need to and may not want to shower that frequently. There's no one size fits all, says some dermatologist. She's worried about your dry skin. So some people benefit from lathering up every day. For instance, if you sweat a lot, whether from exercise or your job, oh, that's me, or your natural predisposition to perspiration. Anybody have that?
I think Prince Andrew has that issue.
Predisposition to perspiration?
Yes. That was how he claimed that the accuser of Epstein Island was lying about him because she didn't know that.
Goodness sakes.
I'm a very sweaty person.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
I've met people like that where they sweat just existing.
Oh, yeah.
That's a struggle. So you'd want to shower all the time. If you have oily hair, you may want to shampoo daily. That's excellent. Although they had the caution against dry shampoo. She said it's not a substitution.
Yeah, there's weird chemicals in a lot of dry shampoos.
So you got to get in there and scrubby scrub if you got the oily hair. And if you got dandruff, you should shampoo every day. But if you have eczema or sensitive skin, apparently you should not be doing that every day. Also, if you have curly or coiled hair, you should shampoo less frequently. Did you know all this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't read about it. I just do it. I'm like, oh, I look gross. I'm going to shower. We're in the phase now with my youngest son where we're trying to convince him it's time. You know,
It's time to be showering.
But when you're a little boy, it's like the worst thing ever. Someone asks you to take a shower. Oh,
Being
no.
clean.
You got to stop playing. And
Why? Oh, yeah, it's the worst. So, you feel better now that you know that? Here's the one thing I learned, actually, before you answer that. Did you know fragrance-free is different than unscented?
I knew that, but I don't know how.
So fragrance-free means they didn't like add the perfumes. Unscented means it actually doesn't smell like anything. So like fragrance-free might still have the scent of the actual product.
Okay.
Well, this actually says that fragrance-free could still contain. Wait, no, that's not. Scratch that. Unscented can contain masking fragrances.
Oh.
So they may have some lavender in there
to cover up something. So it's like it neutralizes the smell. So it's not fragrance-free. It's unscented, which means there's actually fragrance in it.
So you can't smell it, but there's fragrance in it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Obviously. Duh.
Good to know.
because fragrance is a thing. It's not just a smell. Like the product, like fragrance is a product, not just something you smell.
Like fragrance would be the perfume, like the lavender
Right.
or whatever your shampoo is.
And fragrances can irritate the skin. So unscented contains masking fragrances and can irritate your skin. So if you have skin, real special skin, sensitive,
Scentsy. Mm-hmm.
use fragrance free. That's what you should do.
Okay.
Ron's over there taking notes furiously.
Yeah. I got to worry about my shampoo type too.
I get less concerned about fragrance the older I get. Like I don't care about cologne and all that anymore. This is whatever I got, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, I rarely wear cologne. I do have scented pit spray and scented soap, but that's just that. It reminds me of a question I meant to ask you ladies some
Here
point.
we go. All right.
Do you ladies wear cologne or perfume, or is it now like on the outs because it's putting another chemical onto your skin?
I used to until I had kids, and then it was like the babies are on me so often, I didn't want to be putting fragrance on them.
Okay.
And then I just kind of stopped.
Yeah, I wear perfume, but just very sparingly. When I wear it, it's usually a special occasion. I don't put much on.
Mm-hmm. I notice at UPS, I can think of one girl I know that wears some kind of perfume because if you go by her trailer, you can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's nice.
yeah, it's pleasant because the rest of the odors are just dirt, cardboard, dust,
cardboard.
and who knows what. And so that's nice. And there's a couple of guys who wear aftershave or cologne of some type, but it's rare. And I thought, has it gone out of style? What's the deal? But I'm too lazy to put it on, so maybe everybody else is too.
I found out recently my kids were talking about something smells like dad. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't have a smell. I don't wear cologne. What do you mean? It's the deodorant.
Oh.
I've used the same deodorant all these years, and it's like whatever, sport or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, great. The dad smell is actually, whatever that stuff is, degree.
It's better than like a stink.
Right.
A musky.
Boy, the barn sure smells like dad today. We better shovel it out.
Point. I was feeling all bad for myself. There you go.
It's better than smelling stinky.
What does your dad smell like? Deodorant. It's like, well, okay. It's better than odorant, I guess.
I know way worse things to associate with your dad.
Okay. I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. You want to come and get a little whiff here?
No, thank you.
We're good.
Dad smells like?
Yikes.
Okay, coming up here in just a minute, our good friends the Ferrinis join us. Joe and Cindi Ferrini. They want to talk about how to recognize if you're flirting with danger in your marriage.
I'm Jamie Buxton, and this is Pause for Prayer. This time of year can be difficult for many people. The cold and dreary weather and the common colds and sickness cause us to stay more to ourselves. Coming off the excitement of the holidays and settling into new rhythms and the new year can be hard. Many people find themselves in a rut of depression at this time of year. I've learned that focusing on what I can be grateful for can change the entire mood of my day. Looking at how the Lord has provided can make me more and more aware of His love for me and allows me to have hope that He has a plan for me, my day, and my life. Even tough situations and temptations can lessen when I look at my life through the lens of gratitude. Let's pause for prayer. Thank you, Jesus, for all that you do and give. Your constant provision is sometimes overlooked by me, but I am grateful. I pray that you would help me to be more cognizant of the blessings that you give and that I may praise you more and more. Move in my heart to seek gratitude so that my eyes can be open to how much you care for me and desire good for me. Ephesians 5:20 says, we are to be giving thanks always and for everything to God the Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. And more in Psalm 92, it is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praises to your name, O Most High, to declare your steadfast love in the morning and your faithfulness by night, to the music of the lute and the harp, to the melody of the lyre. For you, O Lord, have made me glad by your work. All the works of your hands I sing for joy. How great are your works, O Lord! Your thoughts are very deep. Father, help me to seek the work of your hands and to worship you in obedience and gratitude. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
What does it mean to love God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength? How do you do that? This month in the Today in the Word devotional, you'll gain a better understanding of this commandment and learn how to love God well. You'll also have access to a companion study for your family. Re-examine what Jesus calls our central purpose and highest goal. Download the free Today in the Word app or get a daily email in your inbox. Sign up at todayintheword.com.
Heritage Classical Academy is opening our newest campus in Pepper Pike this fall. This 65-acre property will house early childhood through high school, provide rigorous academic offerings, sports and extracurricular programs, and all with the mission of cultivating lifelong learners who think and live for Christ. Parents, if you're interested in learning more about Heritage, schedule a tour today at heritageclassicalacademy.org. That's heritageclassicalacademy.org.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective? You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
634 WCRF. I tell you what, marriage is one of the most fulfilling things you can experience in life and one of the greatest challenges. And so joining us frequently to help navigate some of those issues, Joe and Cindi Ferrini. They spoke nationally with Family Life's Weekend to Remember for over 20 years, and they've been contributors to Pause for Prayer since 1998. It's time for My Marriage Matters with Joe and Cindi Ferrini. Welcome back, you two.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Thank you.
Doing great. So flirting with danger, you have that in quotes. So is this like a, You're saying a double entendre like actual flirting?
Yes, actually. So the last time that we were on, we were talking about protecting your marriage.
Yeah.
And so as we talked about what to do for this week, we thought, why don't we talk about, because we kind of had to make a definition of what flirting was when we talked last time. So we said, let's kind of talk about this time, and then we have something we'll share with you later what we'll do the next time. But yes, we thought that it would be a good idea just to kind of see sort of the evolution of flirting and where that can take us, which is not good in our marriage. And let's just remind all of ourselves what the definition of flirting that is, and that is to behave as though attracted to or trying to attract someone, but for amusement rather than with serious intentions. Okay. The problem is it might not be with serious intentions, but it can often lead to some serious troubles.
Well, and I think there's a relative nature to it. I think Ron and I have talked about this before. Like my wife has said, "Oh, you have a flirty personality." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know what that means. I'm just being nice to people."
Right.
But she's convinced of it, and I think Dana said that to you, Ron, right?
Oh yeah.
So is it relative in some way, Cindy?
Well, I think that's really interesting because I know you both. I would say, and maybe you could ask your wives this and see if there's any difference. But I would say your personalities are playful. And I think that flirting could be playful, but I think there's also another layer in flirting that, has sort of a connotation or a direction that's more like I'm interested in you rather than this is really playful and fun. I think you could cross the line. And like I always used to tell my kids, and I've shared that here, I say, be careful of the things that you're doing because you don't always know when you cross that line from fun to foolish. Yeah. And there's a great danger in that for kids, of course, but then also for our marriage.
Of course, the unknown variable in our discussion right now is the other person. I mean, that playfulness, the good times, the smiles that you have, and just that's who you, Ron, are, just very nice, very wonderful people, but someone might take that. Thank you. You got that listed.
Oh, yeah, the bell. Yes, happened. Yeah.
Okay. Of course. And anyways, but another person who doesn't know you very well could take those same interactions and take it to another level.
Right.
And so you may be completely clueless of the fact that you're coming across this way to somebody, but somebody is looking at this situation and saying, "Wow, there might be a possibility here." And so let's ramp this thing up to the next level.
And I think Ron and I have talked about another aspect of it before, which is like we're not shy about being complimentary. Like Ron might say, "Oh, Lauren, you look nice today. I like that outfit." And somebody else might be like aghast by that. Like one time, one of my wife's friends, I'd said, "Oh, you look really nice today." And her friend was horrified by it. I was like, "What?"
Right, exactly.
What am I supposed to? Boy, you look very normal today. The same as always.
Very plain. Thank you.
But I've had to be conscious of this because it's something I'm not afraid to do, but clearly it can be taken wrong.
Right, exactly right. I remember this one time I complimented one of my assistants that I worked with all day long, but I said something that was just kind of off the cuff, kind of, "Boy, you look really nice today. And thank you for always dressing professionally." And boy, she just kind of took that the wrong way. And she started saying things to me, and I said, What are you talking about? I'm just complimenting you at this point. And so obviously from that point forward, I had to be very careful about what I said and didn't say to this person.
Right. And from then on, it's like, "Wow, you look terrible today. Goodness sakes."
Yeah.
Step it up, would you?
Come on.
So where do we go from here then? So we've kind of established what it is, the complexities of it. We do have to be aware of it, even if we don't necessarily realize we're doing it. So what's the next level of understanding here?
Well, I think we need to start with the first part of where it starts, and that is in the mind. And, so I have a couple of questions that we could kind of ask ourselves, and they would be things like, are you thinking about this other person? Are you thinking of them a lot? And are you daydreaming about them or thinking about, how can I spend time with them? And you're in your mind, just in your mind. No one knows about this, but you're just making plans. Do you find yourself thinking that you don't want to engage with your spouse emotionally or physically because this other person's thoughts, the thoughts of them are kind of taking over? And then do you think about ways to run into the other person and spend time with them? Like you're in your head, you're thinking and kind of making it happen. Now, when you're young and you are dating, those are the kinds of things that you do because you're looking out and after other people. You're thinking about them, thinking, oh, I might be interested in them. But there's a danger in that when you are married. Do you want to share your scenario, Joe, about that?
Do you want me to? Yeah, okay. Well, I'll share a story with you. Actually, the Lord just woke me up like at 4 o'clock this morning, basically reminding me of an incident that took place. And this was before my married years. But the way I look at it, it's a modern-day parable that the Lord taught me, an amazing lesson looking back on this thing. And so you have to kind of stay with me on this story here because it kind of goes on and on. But one day a friend of mine, and I'm just going to call him the instigator, all right? He brought a mutual friend who happened to be a girl. She was quite beautiful, kind of a temptress, I'm going to call her. Brought her over to me, and I was playing with some guys. We're just hanging out playing. And it didn't take long before the instigator was trying to set me up with this person who was just at this point now strongly flirting with me at this time. And the instigator was encouraging us to spend time together. But by the grace of God, I was able to resist that temptation. Now, at the time, I was not a Christian, but, we lived in an area, we lived by a code, and the code was you never take advantage of a girlfriend, all right, especially if the person is a friend of yours. So the point here is that I escaped that situation, but the story doesn't end there. The next day at school, this friend of mine, who was the boyfriend of this temptress, grabs me in the hallway and starts yelling at me and telling me, why did I do the things? And he listed a list of things here. They were the exact same thing that the instigator said that I should do with this person. And I said, wait, whoa, back off. I didn't do any of those things. And as he was yelling at me, I looked up, and about 20 yards away was the instigator. And he was just laughing and pointing at me and at both of us. And I said, look, he's the instigator. He's the one that caused you to think this way. I had nothing to do with this. And as I thought more about it, and I think this is the reason why the Lord woke me up today, was that the point is that in this scenario, I could see the instigator who was causing this temptation to become, in front of me that day. But Satan does the same thing to us. And we don't see Satan, but he will set us up in situations that will cause us to sin. And the scripture verse that the Lord brought to my mind was from Ephesians 5:15. And I'm taking this from the King James Version because I like that version for Ephesians 5:15. But it says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. And the key word there is circumspectly. Now that's made up of two words, which is we get circumference, like circumference of a circle, whatever, and spectly has to do with inspection. And the point here is that we need to be looking around at all times as to what's going on, and we are to do that not as fools, but as wise people. And then it goes on to make the most of your time because the days are evil. So then do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. And not surprisingly, the next step, the next verse is Ephesians 5:18, which talks about the command to be filled with the Holy Spirit. And so when we think about, this flirtation issue, and we think about possibly being put in scenarios or situations which can lead to affairs or can lead to other things, the safeguard that God has provided for us is the Spirit-filled life. And, clearly it's a command to be continuously under the control of the Holy Spirit. And again, that true story that happened to me just brought to mind what Paul talks about in Ephesians 5.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's just about 6:45. This is WCRF and Mornings with Brian. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll continue chatting with our friends Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters about this idea of flirting with danger in your marriage.
Moody Radio is thankful for support from listeners and businesses like Deerfield Ag Services. They help in adaptation of new technologies and techniques of farm and business management. More information about Deerfield Ag and how they can help is at deerfieldagservices.com.
Moody Bible Institute is a special place. We're blessed to work here, and we'd love you to join us. There's a need for the tax manager and internal auditor. You'll be supervised by the treasurer and be responsible for all aspects of trust tax reporting, institute taxes, and sales taxes, plus the internal audit and compliance functions. It's so satisfying to use how God gifted you for His good by joining the team at Moody Bible Institute. Apply now at moodyjobs.org.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for choosing us to help you start your day. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Now on WCRF, with us here on Mornings with Brian, Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters. We're talking about how to recognize in your marriage relationship if you're flirting with danger. Now, Cindi, you started us off talking about the mind, like how often you're thinking about this person, daydreaming with them. Was there anything else in mind you wanted to cover, or are you ready to move to the next one?
Yes, just one thing just to tie us into the next one, and that is when you are having those thoughts in your mind, and if this is a person at work or someone sort of in your environment, you either need to get out of that environment or get really tight with the Lord. The song that you just played was I'm going to walk with the Lord. That's exactly it. We need to ask the Lord, let us flee the thinking so that we don't get into something that's going to become more verbal, which will then possibly lead to something more physical. So I guess the next part would be just about the verbal aspect of flirting with danger.
Okay, take us there. Yeah, what do you mean by verbal? Is it just conversations or what?
Well, I think it does. Well, as we say, it starts in the mind. And then, of course, it can lead to different kinds of conversations that you're having with the other person. And you mentioned it earlier, like even giving people compliments, or Joe mentioned that too, or kindnesses, as you also mentioned. And sometimes people take those the wrong way. So even though you're a nice or a kind person, they may take that as being flirtatious to them. So another question we could ask ourselves as we enter into sort of the verbal part of flirting is, is there secrecy from your spouse about these conversations? Like if I don't feel like I can tell Joe about a conversation that I had with somebody, I'm probably not in the right direction in terms of my thinking and then what I'm saying. And then a lot of times too, I think it's the tone that we use. So it's not just like, oh, you look nice today. It has a different tone, like, oh, you look really nice today. And I think, we have to be careful of that tone and how we're coming across. And then I guess also just, is there any secrecy from your spouse about spending time with this person, whether it's at work or, you're making excuses why you have to work later with this person. And then lastly, are there areas of conversation that should be kept just between you and your spouse that you're taking into the conversation with this other person?
Yes, especially complaining about your spouse, right? Yeah, I've heard that a million times that starts to drift people in a bad direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I remember a number of years ago, I was helping plan an event, and this was an event planner at this venue. No one that I really knew very well. I knew this person a little bit. And she began doing exactly what you just said. She began talking negatively about her husband, which I did know. I did know him just because I knew her. And then she began just saying some other things about another person. And I thought, she is going the wrong direction. And I think when you start that, you start putting things in other people's minds too, like, oh, what a bad spouse I have and how miserable that person is, to make yourself look better so that when you enter into some kind of, whether it's an emotional or physical relationship with someone else, you've just justified what you're doing. You really haven't, but in your mind, you think you have justified it.
Right. I mean, this is kind of a slippery slope that we kind of talked about last time as well, that, it may start off as a pretty innocent conversation, but then it kind of escalates to the next level. Maybe not in your mind, but in the mind of that other individual. And again, I just go back to Ephesians 5. I mean, if you read that chapter, that thing will keep you out of trouble. I mean, it talks about there's to be no filthiness talking, no silly talk or coarse jesting at any time, which is not fitting, it says, but rather giving of thanks. And so we just need to honor all these relationships that God puts before us. And I think that's probably a key word for me today is it's just the importance of honoring the relationships that we are in at this time and not taking advantage of them or thinking that we can say certain things or get away with saying something and just think, well, they're just friends. Well, those things escalate, and they're accumulative. And so you need to just be careful so that, things don't get out of hand. And as Cindi was talking about earlier, just the importance of just getting out of that environment if you see things kind of ramping up on you.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and in fact, I've thought through it before where it's like, if your conversations are such that you wouldn't be comfortable talking to your spouse about what you said, as if it's a text message, just showing it to them. then you're probably doing something wrong, and you need to make some adjustments.
Exactly. Exactly right.
And often, Joe and I, if we're going to be in touch with someone else for some reason, if I'm going to be in touch with a gentleman or him a lady, we tell each other, we'll often say, look at the email or text and make sure that, excuse me, they know, we each know what we're doing and why, and often even mention our spouse in that conversation.
Yeah, I remember this one time I had a luncheon appointment with this other dentist. And so let's just say, Cindy knew I was going to be meeting with Dr. Smith for lunch today. Well, I get to the luncheon, and here's Dr. Smith as a female. And I didn't know this person, obviously, so I took the time to excuse myself, called Cindy up and say, listen, my luncheon appointment with Dr. Smith is a female. I just want you to know that that's what I'm doing in case anybody gets any feedback to you that could come across negatively. And so, again, this is all about circumspectly behaving, and you're walking in your talk with people all around you.
Yeah, that's so good because I mean, particularly with you, Joe, Cindy knows a lot of people, and you could just imagine somebody calling up and going, "Did you see Joe? He was having lunch with a woman, Cindy." It's horrible.
Exactly. And how great that I could say, "Oh, you mean Dr. Smith?"
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So there's a safety net in that. But we also have learned, and especially when you are on radio, a lot of times people don't recognize you by your face, even though in your community people might know you. But a lot of times people will know you by your voice, and that has happened to me, not in this scenario, a different scenario, but it does make me realize we do have to be careful of the appearances, just like the scripture says. And then, this can go to, as we just kind of finish up with the way that this would go. So we think about things in our mind, we take things to a verbal level, and then, if we're not careful, it can lead into the physical part of things. Excuse me. Do you touch that other person's arm? Does a gentleman help you into a chair in a different way that might look just a little bit more comfortable? Do they help you on with your coat, or do they touch your arm, or do they hug you, or do you hug them? Those are all things that may look like you can justify it, but then you have to be very careful because it might be leading to something else.
Yeah, that's so important because you're not talking about dramatic, intimate touching of any sort. What you're saying is it's just the small subtleties that can take you down the wrong road.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And, I think we can be astute enough to recognize that. But as Joe just said, if you're looking all around you and you're paying attention, you will notice it instead of just justify it.
Yeah, and you never want to give the appearance that something might not be right. And so, again, that's the importance of the Ephesians 5 exhortation. Again, it's a great passage for us, if we're talking about this topic, to spend some time reading that passage today. And it'll be a great safeguard for you.
Do you have any advice for somebody listening now that feels a little convicted that they may need to make some adjustments in life? How do they go about doing that in a way that's honoring to God?
I think the first thing that they need to do is figure out what environment are they in and how can they get out of it. We've shared this before, but there was our last conference that we did for Family Life. We had a couple, and he was having an affair. And long story short, we had conversation with them. We spent a couple hours with them. And I'm telling you, you could see him understanding the wrongness of where he had gotten himself. And when they left, he went to his workplace and quit.
Oh, wow.
Because that's where this affair, the person was working with him.
And he was an executive type person.
Wow.
And so he just quit. He quit his job. He just quit. And when he went home, they immediately, and this was all his doing. He and his wife talked about it, but this was all, he put this all in place. He went right to his spiritual, if you will, people at church and said, you need to hold me accountable. This is what happened. This is what I did. I just quit my job. And he wound up getting another job. But I'm telling you, he took this, if you will, the bull by the horns and said, this has to stop. And I know they are still married. This has now been about 4 years. They're still married. They're happily married because this guy put an end to what, and she was willing to forgive him. There's a whole story there, but the point is he made changes. Now, maybe you don't have to quit your workplace for that to happen, but maybe you do. And if you're really serious about your marriage, you'll take the steps that you need to make sure that your marriage is protected.
Really great advice, you two. Again, Joe and Cindi Ferrini with My Marriage Matters. As I understand it, you all will be posting this audio. And how else can folks get connected to you?
Yes, we'll post this audio thanks to Ron and our web guy, Kevin, and he's our dear friend also. And we will have that on My Marriage Matters on Facebook. But then I also want to say that in 2 weeks, we're going to take this flirting idea to how to flirt in your marriage.
Ooh, that'll be fun. Lauren perked up on that one. Eddie, you better be listening. So this is really great stuff, you two. Thank you so much. As always, we're grateful for your time.
Thank you. And this will give us 2 weeks to practice it.
That's
here
right.
At home.
That's right. Okay. Making note. Ron
thank
is
you.
furiously right. Oh, wait, no, he's not. He's mentally
All right.
noting. He's mentally noting.
Stay tuned.
Thank you both. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All righty. It is just about 7:01. Oh, wow. Flirting in your marriage. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
We'll have to somehow subtly tell our spouses about that, huh? We can report back how they're doing.
Yeah. Well, mine's doing pretty good already.
Oh, Ron.
Ha, ta, 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 ta.
You and Dana, you're just the cutest.
So cute.
We got to bring her back on the air soon.
I'm already planning it for Mother's Day.
You are?
Yeah, like we did last year. Our favorite moms. I plan on doing that again.
Oh, that was so great. Dana's the best. She gets all nervous. I'm like, what are you nervous about? You're the best.
She's got stories.
Oh, yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She's so funny. I love her. Okay, it's 7:02 coming up here in just a minute. We got a couple things to cover. One of them is a pastor from North Carolina who went viral over the last couple of days for all the wrong reasons. And his mistakes we're going to take a look at, I think, because we can all learn something from it. And there's much to discuss in the midst of it. Plus, there was an epic meeting of the moms that I have to tell you about. It was the cutest ever. We'll get to it in a minute.
On Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country needs more weapons from allies in its continued defense against Russia. It's 7:03 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron Eastwood. In an interview with NBC News, Zelensky said Russian President Vladimir Putin is looking to continue his war further into Europe and that he will do it until 2030. Zelensky said if allies are ready to give the country air defenses, he can use them to save civilians, historical centers, and hospitals. A University Heights woman is facing charges after police say she left 6 young children unsupervised at her home. Police responded to the woman's residence on February 16th on reports of the incident and found the children aged 11, 9, 9, 6, 5, and 2 with no adults on scene. And the union representing nurses at Cleveland Clinic Akron General has notified the hospital of an intent to strike. The move comes during contract negotiations in which the Professional Staff Nurses Association says their members are trying to secure concessions on their top priorities on fair labor practices and safe staffing. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
If you're looking for a way to leave a legacy that will help many hear the gospel, consider including the Moody Bible Institute as a beneficiary within your will, trust, or other estate planning documents. This is a wonderful way to steward well and extend your partnership with Moody beyond your lifetime. To learn more about the benefits of remembering the Moody Bible Institute, Moody Radio, and your other favorite Christian ministries with a legacy gift, go to moodylegacy.org. That's moodylegacy.org.
In sports, good news all around. The Cavaliers defeated the Wizards 114-105. The Blue Jackets downed the Rangers 4-2, and the Penguins edged the Flyers 7-6. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly cloudy skies and warmer today with highs in the lower 60s. At last check, we did have clear skies, 40 degrees in Cleveland, 32 in Akron and Canton, 36 in Lorain and Elyria.
It's time for your moron moment.
The ultimate goal of National Eating Disorders Association Week, celebrated in the last week of February each year, is to promote awareness of eating disorders and spread hope for those in recovery and their families. Although there are many main factors like genetics that are responsible for eating disorders, they can commonly co-occur with other mental health issues like anxiety, major depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and social phobia. Some of the possible symptoms associated with eating disorders include constantly feeling cold, fainting, sleeping issues, weight fluctuations, dizziness, weakness, and impaired immunity. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:06. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Radio Cleveland, WCRF 710. And I tell you what, we got a pretty spicy story to talk about in a few minutes here. There's a North Carolina pastor that went viral for all the wrong reasons. Many implications to discuss on that front. Before we get there, though, I got to tell you about a meeting of the moms. I've been working on this for months because my schedule, apparently, I'm very big time. I'm very busy. But no, I think it's just my kids. I don't know what it was. But I was trying to make sure that our dear friend, if you're familiar with this radio station for years, Kathleen Zion, it was Brian and Kathleen mornings for years. And she left to have kids. She's got 3 beautiful children. And her kids, 2 of them are like the same age as Lauren's kids. Mm-hmm. And Lauren is new to Northeast Ohio. And so I'm not, like, you don't have any friends here yet.
Yes. You can say that. That's okay.
It's not that you don't have friends. You don't have friends here yet. So I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to play matchmaker. Sarah and I were so excited. So we finally organized it in this weekend. We got the Zions and the Cuevases together, and we got to be there to hold babies. And Kathleen's like, are you going to bring your kids? No. And she's like, do they want to come? Well, one of them does, but we told them we can't because we don't want them to come with us. Sarah wants to hold babies, and we want us to have a fun time. So it was amazing when 2 awesome moms and dads get together. It's just a match made in heaven. You guys are going to be besties, I'm sure. No pressure, obviously. But one of my favorite parts of the night was Sarah went. They have a little like inflatable bouncy house for inside, and Sarah went out there with the 2 older boys for the Zion clan, and then your son Trey, and they're bouncing around in there, and Finley, Kathleen's son, just loved Sarah going in there to scare her. She'd like pop up and boo and scare, and Trey did not like that. He came running in the kitchen and he was like, "Mom, there's a monster in there." Isn't that what he said?
He started talking about monsters. I was like, dude, what are you talking about, man? And then Sarah came around. She goes, yeah, I scared him.
And so, like, he did not go back in that bounce house for like an hour, maybe 2. And then someone's like, hey, we should go back in there. Trey's like, okay, turns around, walks right up to my wife and says, but you stay here and eat. You don't come to the bounce house. And we all just fell apart. It was the cutest ever.
He's very sensitive.
He's going to be so sassy when he's a teenager.
He's like, you stay here, you scary lady.
I like how he's still very assertive, though.
Yeah.
Like he knows
what he needs. He's going to tell you what he thinks.
And he's going to tell you. Good for him.
That's
he said, I'm a little scared, but I'm going to tell you about it.
It was so cute. But yeah, it was great. You guys, I hope you guys have a good connection now.
Yep, Trey already wants to go back, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And hey, if speaking of being friends of the radio station for a long time, knowing about Kathleen, she beautifully sang the share number. We still use it every year. You have it in there. I'm not going to put you on that. You can't possibly dig that out right now, could you?
Yes, I could. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, we have this number for share, and Kathleen would sing it, and we share it all the time.
I don't think I've heard her sing it before.
You haven't?
Yeah, I don't think
this
we
is
played
epic.
last year.
800-600-9624.
Share. Which one of you is going to do it this year?
Nobody.
Nope.
You.
Yeah, you can do it.
We'll just play Kathleen doing it. But we do have our share campaign coming up here in just a few weeks. We got Walk Worthy around this weekend, and then share is like 2 weeks later. Mm-hmm. So we can't resist talking about it because we want to get to about 25% of our goal by the time the campaign starts. And the only way to do that is if some of you faithful friends give early. Now, maybe you have an auto gift. We're grateful for that. You could consider increasing your auto gift because of, inflation. Mm-hmm. It affects us, too, around here. Or maybe you have an extra gift you can give because of tax refund or just you've been blessed this year. You could give an extra gift to help us get to that 25%. But we're also giving a specific shout out to those of you who have maybe a little bit, how do you put it, deeper pockets, bigger bank account, a lot more clams.
Fat stacks of cash.
There it is. If you got all that, we need people to be those who instigate matching gifts. So if you ever listen to Share, people love it when we go, all right, for the next 20 minutes, we have a $1 for $1 match. Hey, come get your $1 for $1 match. Well, somebody has to be the person that gives the $1 for $1 match.
Right.
And so maybe you've got $1,500, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Some of you have that capacity. Now, of course, I know many of you listening going, are you kidding me, Brian? I don't have that kind of money. Well, I get it. I don't either.
Right.
But somebody listening does. And if that interests you, just text us. just send us a quick text. Hey, can I talk to Josh, your station manager? Or, hi, I'd like to do a matching gift. We'll connect you to the right people. Our station manager, Josh, will talk to you all about that. Just text us at 440-546-2255. And for more information on Share, you could also just text Share to that number. Share to 440-546-2255. Or go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland. Okay, coming up after this quick break, a North Carolina pastor said something in a sermon that sent the country into a tizzy.
I'm curious.
Was it bad? Well, you'll have to wait and see. We'll talk about it together in just a minute.
Moody
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Helping you take the next step in your walk with Jesus. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
7:17. Hey, Walkworthy Men's Conference this Saturday. Can't wait to see you guys. Some of you we may not see. And I know that sounds melodramatic, but tickets really are going quickly. We're almost at 900 tickets sold. And I think there's only room for about 1,200 people.
Yeah, and that number, almost 900, is not including volunteers and our team and the church team.
So we probably have like 100 or 2 tickets left.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we sell at least that many the last week because of, as I'm calling him today, Last Minute Larry.
Oh.
That may be you. It might be what we call you. Please don't be that guy that wants to go but doesn't get a ticket in time.
Yeah. If it fills up, I don't mind sitting like in the choir loft behind everybody.
Just look at everybody.
Yeah. And wave.
That'd actually be fun to put Ron up there the whole time.
Yeah.
Everybody can like
make sure he's taking notes.
Yeah, you'd see me sneak away to the green room, come back with some snacks.
No, but the whole team's going to be there. We're going to do an hour of the show there. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so if you haven't done so yet, get your ticket before it's too late. Text WALK to 440-546-2255. All right, so this story out of North Carolina and a lead pastor down there, it went viral. I saw it pop up in my feed. Maybe did my wife tell me about it? Somebody told me. Maybe it was, I don't know who it was. Somebody told me about it, but here's how it goes. The lead pastor of a small church in Monroe, North Carolina, which is about 26 miles southeast of Charlotte, North Carolina, is facing widespread criticism after a previous sermon was widely shared online this week. A clip of the sermon delivered by Bobby Leonard of Bible Baptist Tabernacle was shared on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. It's like Prince's problem all over again.
Yeah.
So irritating. The account that shared it is called Bad Preacher Clips. Oh, ouch.
Wow. That's almost makes me want to sign up for it.
Well, it posts clips of sermons shared primarily by preachers leading independent fundamentalist Baptist congregations. Now, we have nothing against that particular denomination. It's just this is how the internet works. There are people who they get fixated on one denomination and they make it their vigilante. They're like the Batman of that denomination. Right. Okay, so the account owner told WCNC Charlotte, this is who's reporting this, the video came from a live stream service on August 12th of this last year. While the video had originally been shared on the church's YouTube channel, And also on the Facebook page, both those accounts for the church permanently deleted. Like you cannot find a YouTube channel for them or a Facebook account. And this is why. Now, it was a big deal locally, but went viral for some reason. This is, again, how the internet works, just recently around the rest of the country. So what did he say? That's the question.
Yeah.
Here's what he said. When you go to Pigeon Forge, sit in a mall parking lot. Pigeon Forge is like, I think it's like a city or
yeah.
a
Dollywood is in Pigeon Forge.
When you go to Pigeon Forge, sit in a mall parking lot, you'll find more women with shorts on than pants and dresses put together. I used to say this, and I haven't said it in a long time. If you dress like that and you get raped and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free. I'm right, though. I can't help it if you don't like it. I'm right, because, you know, a man's a man. A man's a man. Leonard went on to say that he only ever remembered seeing women wear dresses in his childhood before continuing with the sermon.
Wow.
Now, before we go on, you have to know that since this was preached in August, it's already been responded to.
Okay.
So to be fair to Pastor Bobby, he they appear to have shared a message on their sign out front with an apology from him. It made such a local kerfuffle there. He wrote, like on the church sign out front, it said, quote, "I am sorry for any hurt. I was wrong." Okay. And he went on with just recently now, everybody tried to reach him again when it went viral, and the church, for obvious reasons, did not answer the phone, okay? Or nor did they respond. But they published an apology letter on their website. And I feel like, to be fair to him, again, we have to share the apology before we chat about what he said. Okay, he said this on the church website. "I want to express my deep regret for the statements made from the pulpit. I'm only beginning to understand the hurt and offense caused, and I take full responsibility for my words. As a pastor, I've failed to uphold the biblical values of love and compassion. I apologize for the pain caused and commit to learning from making this foolish and sinful statement. Bible Baptist Tabernacle and I equivocally stand on the biblical position that rape under any circumstances is a heinous crime to be punished severely and is never excusable. I want our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to be glorified through my life. He deserves my best, not my worst. I earnestly seek your forgiveness as I reaffirm my commitment to serve our community with unwavering integrity, humility, and profound love. I deserve for folks to be extremely upset with me, but I ask you to please forgive me." Okay, so there's a lot to talk about here. But again, you see why I'm sharing his apology first, because it would be unfair to him if we made it seem like he said it and just walked on.
Right.
Backing up, he's mad about the shorts in the sermon. And he's like, if you're walking around in your shorts, something bad happens. What do we make of that? Any raw reactions here?
Well, you're talking about a southern city, Pigeon Forge. So it's warmer there. If you're expecting women to always wear long pants in the summer in a warmer climate, that's just ridiculous.
He would be okay with an ankle-length skirt. In fact, he'd probably prefer it.
And that would be
skirt.
cooler than pants. I understand. I've never worn an ankle-length dress.
We don't know if you wear kilts. We haven't ever discussed it.
Right. But yes, it bothers me when guys say things like this, because it's like they're saying, I have no control. If I'm a fat lard and I go in and I steal all the Big Macs out of McDonald's and I just wolf them down right in front of everybody, oh, you can't blame me. I'm a man. I'm a big fat man and I need all this food. No, you have to have self-control. Isn't that a fruit of the Spirit? Self-discipline,
so.
Self-control. Come on. If you insinuate that as a man you can't help yourself from raping a woman, you're less than a man, and you should probably put yourself somewhere where you're incarcerated so that you can't get out and look at women, because women are going to wear shorts in the summertime. Some women are going to wear shorts in the wintertime. You know, at UPS, there's still women who they'll wear, you know, the really long coat, but they're wearing their shorts. I mean, it's knee-length shorts, so I don't know if he would still have a problem with that. But, yeah, he was way off in the start of things. But I appreciate the tone of his apology on the website, and I hope that reflects his actual feelings.
Dara, you seem shocked by what he said.
I don't get angry often, and I'm honestly so angry at this. I don't even have words. And I honestly don't even care that he apologized. Like, yes, God can forgive all. I don't care that he apologized because what he said was so hurtful. Like Ron said, it's hurtful to men and women because it sets women up to be victims, and it implicates that men are just these cretins with absolutely no agency.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing standing between them and their base desires is a layer of fabric. And it just makes the church look so bad. Like, again, God can forgive all. Me being human, I don't know that I could.
Yeah, because he actually takes it, if you examine his statement, he takes it a step further than saying men have no control. He actually victim blames. Again, he said, I used to say this and I haven't said it in a long time. If you dress like that and you get raped and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free. As in, it's her fault.
Right. And just saying stuff like that from a pulpit, let alone that it could be spread through your social media and YouTube and stuff, it does like almost teach other men and younger men. It implants that idea that maybe it isn't my fault. And no, it is your fault. If the woman is not, how to say it, if she doesn't say yes, it's a no. If you drug her and then say she didn't fight back, you're still a rapist. There's,
yeah, it's It, clearly. I mean, it gets you going. Lauren, do you have anything to add to this in terms of your personal reaction to it?
I don't doubt that he wears shorts in the summer.
Yeah,
and if someone
imagine, yeah.
and if someone violated him, would he be okay with that? How is that different? Their legs. Everybody's got legs. Take it up with God for making legs. What do you mean she wore shorts? You wear shorts too. It's your problem if you harm someone in that way, no matter what they're wearing. And for him, like Ron's saying, as a pastor, to use his pulpit, obviously he's regretful, but he should be ashamed of himself for using his pulpit in that way. That's not what it's for. And that's not what the Bible says. Right. And so he needs to repent of teaching a false gospel too, because that's not what the Bible says.
Now, he said something very extreme. And yet, would you think I'm crazy if I said it's probably not that far off from the way a lot of Christians are thinking?
No, it's not.
Now, not that somebody deserves to be raped. Not saying that at all. But like, if she dresses like that, she's asking for it.
No one's asking for it.
But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm sure we've all heard something like that whispered under people's breath.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard that?
Yeah.
Wow. Like, in your own, like someone said it to you, or you overheard it, or?
Not to me directly, but to a group of people.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Daria, have you heard this kind of thing?
Not in real life, but I know there are people that think like this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not, and see, here's where I want to take a bit of a turn after we get to the break. It's not that his overall concept isn't touching on something that could be discussed, as in modesty.
Mm-hmm.
There is something to say about modesty. Now, being immodest does not invite assault. That's right. He took this so far off of a cliff.
Yeah.
It's not even in the realm of normal. And yet, sadly, it was so close to the tip of his tongue that it came out. So the church culture in that area, at least in his congregation, must have, I don't know, in some way had people going, yeah, exactly. All these shorts. Which is just such a weird thing. Like years ago, we had a debate about yoga pants on the show. I don't know that anybody was worried about shorts.
No, but back in my day, you couldn't wear shorts to school, and nowadays, you could wear them year round, as far as I know.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Yes, he did apologize. If you're just tuning in, we heard the apology and all that. And to Daria's point, there are some who have said, "Okay, you're sorry, awesome. Why are you still the pastor there?"
Yeah, he should never preach another sermon ever.
That sounds like, no, you're just canceling him, Daria. You're just canceling him. You cancel people when they make mistakes?
I mean, I don't want his whole family to suffer, which is what typically happens when people get canceled. But we as Christians who, I mean, we cannot have someone like this, one, saying things that's hurtful, but two, kind of representing our religion as a whole.
Yep.
We just can't have it.
Yeah, there's almost something we have to teach about consequences, right? It's not that forgiveness can't be extended, but there are consequences.
Right.
It's like that story Michael Rydelnik has told us before, where somebody, while the elders were meeting in the church, somebody busts in and starts like breaking things. As extreme as that sounds, he was pastoring in New York or something. And the elders tackled the guy and held him down. And he's like, somebody yelled, "Call the police." And the guy's like, "Wait, I thought you're a bunch of Christians. What are you doing calling the police? Aren't you going to forgive me?" He goes, "Well, yeah, of course we're going to forgive you. And we're also going to call the police because there's consequences for destruction of property."
Yeah.
So there's much more to discuss in this. You're welcome to join our conversation as we deal with a viral news story that is almost unavoidable because it deals with the church. We'll get to more here in a couple of minutes on Mornings with Brian.
In Revelation 3, God told the church at Laodicea that he wished they were either hot or cold, not lukewarm. Dr. Tony Evans has some advice about how we can add some degrees to our own devotion. He'll share it with us as we spend 2 minutes with Tony.
Mercury is very hot. All the time, it's red hot. That's because of its proximity to the sun. Pluto is very cold. It's always cold because of its lack of proximity to the sun. Now, we live on planet Earth. That's hot and cold because it's seasonal. And because it's seasonal, based on its turning, sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. The problem with God is he has seasonal saints. They'll turn to God in this season and turn away from him in another season. See, they're seasonal saints because they rotate on him. And he's looking for ongoing proximity. If the life is not opened up, God is not going to share his power. So your pursuit of intimacy, which means exposure to the Lord, is critical for power. So anything you're hiding from him is limiting power from him. Time in his presence, time in his word, that must be the goal. You say, "But I don't have time." Well, you always have time for what's first. You can't use that as an excuse, especially if you're calling for him for power. So anything you're hiding from him is limiting power from him.
Learn other principles that can strengthen your connection with Christ. Check out Tony's CD series, Igniting Kingdom Prayer, available online at tonyevans.org. Then join us next time for 2 Minutes with Tony.
Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the Word of God. It's a nice verse, but here's the thing. You will never learn to correctly handle the Word of God unless you are in the Word. At Moody Radio, we welcome you, invite you, urge you to get into the Word so the Word can get into you. Start at todayintheword.org. todayintheword.org.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
7:34, we talk about today's issues from a biblical perspective here on this here program. And I tell you what, we can't avoid a viral news story that went all over social media and was covered on the news. It was a pastor in a relatively small church in Monroe, North Carolina, which is 26 miles southeast of Charlotte. A clip of his sermon was shared where he essentially said, he said this, "I used to say this and I haven't said it in a long time. If you dress like that and you get raped and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free." And like that, by the way, was shorts, women wearing shorts. Wow. Now, if you're just tuning in, he issued a very specific and lengthy apology, or I would say, as far as apologies go, it was a good apology. We can break it down later if we want to, but he's sorry. He says he's wrong. He asked for forgiveness and all those kind of things. But what's interesting is a lot of people I've seen online are marveling that he still has a job. And I think that this has something to do with the issue of forgiveness. And do we even misunderstand what it is? As in, sometimes I think as Christians, what we expect is that when we're forgiven, people need to just move on. Like nothing has to happen as a result. Mm. Have you ever seen that in your own walk with Christ? Where people are like, well, I said I was sorry. Come on.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
But that doesn't change the fact that you did what you did. It's good. You're sorry that you did it. You've apologized and admitted that you hurt people by what you did. Mm-hmm. But there are consequences from that. If you're a preacher, you are held to a higher standard. Scripture points that out. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't muzzle the ox, I think is the terminology, talking about don't underpay your preacher just because you can, things like that. Give them due honor, but also hold them to a higher regard. And if he failed in that, he needs at least time out of the pulpit.
At least. Yeah, and I mean, when you look at Scripture, the idea of separating forgiveness and consequences it's there. Like you look what happened to Moses. Mm-hmm. He disobeyed God. Still Moses, still leading the people.
Right.
But he wasn't allowed to go to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
So God forgave him. He still faced a consequence.
Yes.
And this is something I think we lose sight of. We cheapen forgiveness into like even, well, you can forget it then. Never think about it. Are you kidding me? What's your take on this, Lauren? And I've seen you digging in your commentary.
I was digging my commentary. We got a text from someone saying, he's dead wrong in his statement. However, he asked for forgiveness and he's recognized his sinful words and has tried to convey his sincerest apology. Now he's going to have a lot of hard work to do and a long road and haul to get back to what he's lost and for people's anger and shock. But let's not forget, if we don't forgive, our Father in heaven doesn't forgive us.
Right.
Now that's in the Bible.
That is. It's in Matthew 6. It's after the Lord's Prayer. That doesn't mean that's okay. So I think a lot of times we take that as then I won't be forgiven of all my sins. And that's opposite to what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not earned. That's the whole point of what it is. It's not an earned thing. What it's saying here is if you're not able to forgive someone, it's likely that you actually haven't been saved. Because your ability to forgive someone is wrapped up in what Christ has already done for you. It's not saying that God's not going to forgive you if you don't forgive other people. It's saying that you should probably take a look at yourself. If you're not able to forgive people, are you actually saved? Because justification is not earned. It's not about, are you actually like a person who's, being saved? You are. Mm-hmm. That's not something you can earn. It's not, I forgive people so that God will save me. That's not how it works. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. It's a reflection of our own soul. I mean, once you understand the depth of your own depravity.
That's right.
And how much you are undeserving of the grace that God gives you through the death and resurrection of Jesus, it becomes much easier to extend that forgiveness to others.
So it's more of I hear that you are having a hard time forgiving, but look at yourself. Look at what Christ has already done for you. Look how you've been forgiven and find it in yourself to forgive this person.
And I mean, I could see a board meeting, a healthy board meeting, and later a congregational meeting, I'm sure, where there's repentance from the pastor and forgiveness from the board, and still the board president looking at the pastor and saying, and yet you need to resign.
Yeah.
We cannot, this is a public statement, we cannot allow there to be no consequences for this. Because what does it cost us as followers of Christ if we suddenly remove consequences for ourselves when we sin? This is what I've been trying to ponder.
Yeah, because then it looks like, well, Jesus died for our sins, but that wasn't so bad. We're basically good people.
Right. Yeah. It cheapens grace in some respects.
And I hate to look at our religion as like breaking it down into PR, but it is in a sense important. How people perceive us is to a degree important. And if they see this going completely unpunished, they're going to say, well, all Christians are like that. All Christians think rape is totally excusable if the woman was quote unquote asking for it.
Right. Very well said. And I even think of, Lauren and I had a chance through Pastor Scott Lessing and Grace Church to meet some inmates at Lorraine Correctional. And we interviewed 3 inmates who were convicted of various types of severe crime. Mm-hmm. And not one of them looked at us and said, well, I'm a Christian now. Society should forgive me and let me out.
Yeah.
All 3 of them said, I deserve to be here.
Yep.
Well, that was compelling. Because all 3 of them as well had a significant measure of spiritual maturity. Mm-hmm. And so they weren't saying, I'm sorry now, and I love Jesus. Well, why don't you just let me out of here? Can you imagine the consequence if we had that real philosophy as Christians? Oh, well, if you're sorry, there's no consequences. We're just going to remove them.
Right.
What?
That is genuine repentance, and I hope I can get to that level of maturity someday in my life. That's beautiful.
Which is why that experience had such an impact on Lauren. I mean, when you say it was that stuff that shocked me.
Yep.
One guy said, it's been the hardest and the best thing ever to be separated from his daughter for almost 18 years. Mm-hmm. He said, because I don't want her to know the old me. Whew. And here we are going like, oh, this pastor says something that despicable, blaming a victim of rape, a theoretical victim of rape. He's sorry. He's fine now. Like, I don't think we want to play out that philosophical perspective in society. So why do we allow it here, I think? Yeah. Okay. And another thing I wanted to bring up on this that I think is pretty fascinating is the catch-22 of live streaming. Mm-hmm. Because had this not been live streamed and recorded on the internet, this would have been an issue within their congregation to resolve.
Yeah. 100 or 200 people heard it. How many of them think the same way as him if he's been the preacher for a while?
Mm-hmm. And
so there might have been 2 or 3 people whose ears perked up at it and thought, well, that's just pastor being pastor.
And I mean, let's just presume it's a super healthy congregation. There could have been consequences. He could have been suspended, perhaps lost the pulpit, but none of us would have heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the consequence of live streaming now is that if your church live streams and posts stuff online, it's a public statement. And if you make a public statement, you have to be ready for a public response.
Yeah. It used to just be we had to worry about outliers like Westboro Baptist Church preaching or marching around funerals and doing stupid things and getting on the news, and then everybody saying, well, look what you Christians are doing. And now we're streaming it. We're showing everybody, look how stupid we can be.
Yeah. I mean, we got to be aware. I don't care how small your church is, how obscure or what the small town is you're in Ohio. If you post your stuff online, that's a public statement.
Mm-hmm.
In some sense, isn't that good, though?
Yeah, because more people can potentially hear about the gospel. And what you're saying, Brian, just because I know someone's going to misconstrue this, is not be shy about the gospel.
Correct.
But especially for a statement like this, you had to have known that was a controversial statement and that was going to upset someone, not in the way where the gospel is normally offensive. That is an offensive statement. You had to have known that. Just be careful.
Yeah, and when the stakes are high, you're more careful, and you're more deliberate, and you take it more seriously, and that perhaps is a good thing. But we just can't forget how big of a deal this is now. Mm-hmm. Coming up here in just a minute, I want to shift gears just slightly, because what we've never done with our 2 newer team members is have a discussion about modesty, because part of this, the underlying issue here that he so poorly handled, is the issue of modesty. It's still something Christians talk about. So what are we to think of this, and what do our younger friends here, the ladies on the team, think of it? We'll talk about it as a team here in just a moment.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
Ever wondered if there's a way for Christians to meet their healthcare costs affordably and efficiently? A biblical lifestyle alternative to traditional healthcare options? The answer is Christian Healthcare Ministries. They've enabled believers to live out their faith while embracing a voluntary health cost ministry for over 40 years. It all starts with a visit to chministries.org/Moody to see how CHM meets values and healthcare costs. Get more information and have your questions answered at chministries.org/Moody.
Moody Bible Institute is a special place. We're blessed to work here, and we'd love you to join us. There's a need for the tax manager and internal auditor. You'll be supervised by the treasurer and be responsible for all aspects of trust tax reporting, institute taxes, and sales taxes, plus the internal audit and compliance functions. It's so satisfying to use how God gifted you for His good by joining the team at Moody Bible Institute. Apply now at moodyjobs.org.
Bringing Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania closer to Christ, one conversation at a time. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
746, Walkworthy Men's Conference. Probably by now pushing about 900 tickets sold. There are not many left.
No.
Max capacity at about 1,200, I believe. So we usually sell more than that this week. So you better hurry, guys. Text WALK to 440-546-2255. It's Saturday. It's big time. You'll love it. Ron's going to be there. What else do you need in your life? Check it out. Okay. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot. So you have to go back and check out the story for yourself. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, but long story short, there's a pastor in North Carolina who went viral because he said, I used to say this, and I haven't said it in a long time. If you dress like that, wearing shorts, and you're a woman, and you get raped, and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free. Okay, wow. He apologized. Lots to talk about here. But it turns out we actually have discussed modesty in the past with you ladies. I just don't remember it, so it's all new to me, I guess.
We talk about it a lot.
We do talk about it a lot. He's pointing at a deeper issue that Christians do care about. He handled it like probably the worst way I could possibly imagine. Truly, the worst way I could possibly imagine. But modesty is a thing Christians ought to think about. And so from a Gen Z female perspective, Daria, how do you and your peers view the issue of modesty when it comes to living out your faith in clothing?
It would depend on who you talk to. Some people are like, well, it's just a body. Even like some believers I know, they're like, it's just a body, so why does it matter what I put on it or what I don't put on it in some cases? But I do think, not that we're, obviously we know that men are not animals that are going to be tempted if we're not wearing the right clothes, but I do think we owe respect to them and to ourselves to not be extremely scantily clad. Now, I don't have an issue with shorts or tank tops, but there does come a point where there's a line and you might have crossed it.
Okay, so where did you learn that?
Just growing up. I mean...
What was it, an ethic that your mother taught you, or was it something that you just came to from reading Scripture?
I've just never been someone who wanted to show a lot of skin. That's just my personality. I'm very comfortable in my own skin, but I'm not eager to, wear a lot of clothes that people in my generation are. My mom, she would get me clothes and we would pick out clothes together. And so occasionally she would say, that's actually not appropriate. It didn't happen very often. But I'm comfortable in wearing more clothing.
I've heard it's difficult as a young woman to find clothing that's not plunging V-necks. And
it really is. When I first started this job, I needed some new blouses, and my mom and I went shopping. It took us, and I needed 4 shirts. It took an entire day to find stuff that was modest and professional. And a whole day, I only needed 4 shirts.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've had that experience, Lauren?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's hard.
So what's the ethic you grew up with? you're a pastor's kid.
Mm-hmm.
So how did your family define modesty for a family of 3 girls?
I don't know if I had, if we were, this is what's modest and this is what's not. I don't have anything in my brain that my parents were telling me that. But like Daria said, I'm fine with shorts. I'm fine with tank tops. I personally, like Daria, am not one to show a lot of skin just out of my own personal comfort.
And you've always been that way.
Yeah, but I feel like if someone else were to show more skin than me, I'm not going to shame them. That's what they're personally comfortable with showing.
So then how do you define the moral line?
Mm-hmm.
And you're speaking for women. I mean, it's, I guess, more of a cultural conversation.
Yeah.
How do you determine the line for what's appropriate for women?
I don't know. I don't know if I can definitely say this is the line and everyone must follow this line. Don't wear shorts. I don't think I can do that.
And yet you'd know it if you saw it, right? Like if somebody walked into church wearing, I don't know what, short shorts and a tube top, you might go like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah, you might. But also, where's that person coming from?
Yeah,
Do they
that's the
have
problem,
a church
yeah.
background? Are you going to shame them out of your church because they don't have the same morals and values that you do? You shouldn't, because they need Jesus.
Though, because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're uncomfortable, but guess what? That person needs Christ.
Right.
And hopefully, as you shepherd them and disciple them into the flock, they learn that, hey, maybe I shouldn't dress this way for my own comfort purposes, but also for those around me.
Yeah, girls are pretty good about picking up what the standard is among all the women in their group, and then they'll adjust.
Yeah.
They don't want to stick out.
Right.
Because, you know, like it's in now to show that for girls to show their navel, right? That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Crop tops.
Is that bad? Belly buttons are bad?
I don't think they're not bad. I think part of the modesty problem is people don't know what's appropriate for wear. Like I'll sometimes be at the mall and I'll see people and stuff that would be appropriate at the beach, but not for here. As far as the belly button thing goes, I don't personally want to see it. I don't necessarily have a problem with you wearing it, and I wouldn't myself. So for me, that's kind of a gray area just because I'm like, I'd rather not, but you do you, I guess.
Now, what's interesting to me is neither of you are drawing any real severe lines, where most Christians, when we have these conversations, they're drawing lines. I mean, Ron, we've had talks about yoga pants. People are in or out, yes or no.
And if you wear them, you have to have a shirt long enough that it covers your backside.
Exactly. There it is. This was summarizing our discussion we had. What do you make of that? Are you with them?
I don't care. I don't care if someone wears yoga pants.
Well, and he would say, well, it's because you're a woman. A man's a man. You don't know what it's like. It's you being a temptress with your yoga pants and your shorts.
I don't think that's the case. Most likely it's for comfort, honestly.
Some women dress to attract attention.
Some women do. But I don't think you need to put a blanket on every single woman because one woman is trying to get attention. That's her own problem that she needs to deal with God. Mm-hmm. And her spouse or her boyfriend or her family, her parents, her dad, whatever it is, they have to work that out. And they need to figure out what is the root of her wanting attention in that way. Mm. And you need to change her heart, not just tell her, don't wear those clothes. But you shouldn't be putting those rules on everybody because one woman has a problem with it.
There's cultural differences too.
Yeah.
Like for what we would consider to be promiscuous, another culture would think is totally fine and they can be fully saved and they're not bothered by this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I'll never forget one of the first days in my anthropology class in college. I'll skip the awkward professor impression I could do of him. But he puts a video on of people in a tribal context. I forget if it was South America or if it was Australia. And they were essentially naked. Mm. And his first comment, as we start watching it, we're all like, oh, okay, we're in class right now. His comment was, they're fully clothed. Do you understand that? We were all like,
in their
what?
Cultural context.
What are you talking about? They're fully clothed. No, they're not. He goes, in their cultural context, they are fully clothed. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is real. I remember I got in a debate with a young Christian woman. I grew up in Minnesota. And so in the Minnesota context where it's so cold most of the year, like a bikini is fairly dramatic. Mm-hmm. But she was like among her Christian peers in Southern Florida. Bikini is so common. It's like, what do you mean? It's not immodest. It's just a swimsuit. Get over it. And it took me a while to even process through that because we were having this debate. And she was a student at Moody, for crying out loud. It's not like she's some sort of, theologically liberal nut out there running around in a bikini. I had to go, oh, wow, there is a cultural difference between Florida and Minnesota. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Caitlin in Cleveland. Caitlin, what would you like to add to this?
I was just going to say that I think if you're a woman and you're asking yourself, like, how do the clothes look on me? How is that perceived? And how close to the line can I get, or what can I wear? You're just asking the wrong question. Like, I think that ultimately it's a heart condition of, well, what are you trying to do? And I'm speaking from experience as well, saying, like, in high school and the start of college, when I was a pretty immature Christian, I was definitely, like, I'm not going to filter a lie, the fact that I was definitely trying to dress to impress and, like, attract people and, like, be cool and be popular. And the way I dressed definitely was a part of that. And so now, being much more mature on the other side, I can say, okay, that was a totally just immature, wrong-hearted thing to do. And now it's like I'm not dressing to impress anybody. Like, I'm dressing in what's comfortable and what I like and what I feel comfortable, which I'm sure can be different woman to woman. But I think your heart condition of the motivation that you use to put on clothes and why you're dressing a certain way is what you should be looking at.
Now, I noticed you didn't bring up men at any point here. How much should you be considering how men view the way you're dressing as you get dressed?
I think if that's one of your motivators for getting dressed, like, again, like, that's what you need to reflect on. But as far as men go, like, they should be reflecting on the same thing. Not like, how much can I look at a woman until, like, it's wrong? Like, no, like, like, what are you talking about? It's a heart condition. Like, you should be focusing on holiness. Like, stop focusing on women altogether.
Yeah, you know what, Caitlin? This is one of those things we've laughed about over the years together, Ron. It's there were so many decades in the church where men were totally absolved of any responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right,
it was
that's
all
ridiculous.
women blaming. It was like, you tempt us. Stop it. Stop tempting us. Well, you're looking. Come on, buddy. You got to have some responsibility.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think both parties need to just worry less about the other party and focus on, like, pursuing Christ. Like, that's our goal.
There it is. It's the Caitlin Show. Thank you, Caitlin. Caitlin, do you
Thank
have a
you.
Mornings with Brian mug yet?
I do not.
You do now, sister.
All right.
You do now. Thanks for your insights. Can you stay on hold for
My
us?
husband will be very excited. Yeah.
Oh, he can't. It's yours. He can't use that.
No, they're really nice. Eddie's been using mine at home. So
See, this
rude.
happens to me, too. He has to share it, Caitlin.
He listens every day, so.
Tell him to call. He can get his own.
I know. I should. He would love that. He'll listen now, and he'll be like, "Why'd you call in?"
Great stuff. You stay on hold. We'll get your information so we can send that to you. How often do you ladies think about how men will perceive you when you're getting dressed? Do you think about that at all?
No. I think about what the other women are going to think about me.
Exactly. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Women don't dress for men; they dress for other women. Like I'm married, and I'm sure Lauren will say something similar. I don't think about Jimmy when I'm getting ready at all. I think about how do I feel, and if I were to see some random woman, like, what would she think about this? If a friend were to see me in this, what would she think?
Gosh, and I'm telling you, in the church cultural context I grew up in, young women were specifically told, think about how your peers, the boys, will think about you when you wear this. It was almost the primary motive.
But then it makes boys out to be these, like, predatory people.
Yeah. I didn't view it that way at the time.
And it makes me as a woman think that they're thinking of me in that way when they may not be. So then I'm all, like, on edge, like, oh, they're all staring at me. And that may not be true.
Yeah.
So it makes a woman feel like, oh, everyone's staring at me and they're thinking bad things about me, when that's not true. And so it makes me have a bad view of men too. It's doing the opposite of what you think it's doing. It's now putting me on the defense, thinking everyone's thinking about me.
Yeah, and that can affect you for a lifetime.
Yeah. You're walking around thinking all these men are thinking creepy thoughts about me, when that's not necessarily true.
Well, and you know what? Even in marriage, I think you could talk to some people who work in ministry that deal with marriage, that it can create sexual dysfunction in marriage because someone has a shameful view of their own body.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And if men feel like it's not their fault, it's the woman's fault, that then gives them their own personal freedom, wrongly so, but they feel free to stare away because, well, if she's putting it out there, then it's free for me to look. And then I think that can lead into the whole pornography rabbit hole. And you're like, well, it's free on the internet. I can look at it. And it messes you up. Just don't look at the porn. Don't look at the women. And if you're looking at them, look them in the eyes. The eyes are way up here, guys.
Exactly. Well, and we're supposed to view older women as our mothers and younger as our sisters.
Yeah.
So, hey, dude, if you're getting all nasty.
You are creepy.
You're a creepy dude. And the Lord has given you some expectations as well. Yeah. It's fascinating how much this discussion has changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, there's some of you listening, I'm telling you, who right now are outraged by the way some of us have talked about this. I'd love to hear your perspective on this. We don't need to necessarily get into it today, but we got Friday. You're welcome to text or email with your thoughts on modesty. And because I think it's a perpetual issue. And again, here it is popping up again in the news as a pastor has done, quite frankly, the worst I think I've ever heard a pastor from the pulpit deal with modesty. But it certainly is an important issue to discuss. All righty, it's time for Ron's News and today's More Ron moment. In a couple of minutes, what role does doubt play in the Christian faith? We'll talk a bit about doubting in just a few minutes.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
President Biden is set to host the 4 congressional leaders on Tuesday to discuss funding for Ukraine and ways to avoid a government shutdown. It's 8:01. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries will all be on hand to highlight the urgency of passing the bipartisan national security supplemental, according to the White House. Congress will return to D.C. this week, facing deadlines for funding the government. Authorities are investigating after a body was recovered from the beach at Rocky River Park over the weekend. Police were called to the scene on Saturday, with the body later collected by the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office. There has been no word yet on the identity of the victim and the cause of death. And the Ohio Turnpike and Ohio State Highway Patrol say there will be increased patrols on the Turnpike this year. Officials say between 2019 and last year, there were nearly 4,000 crashes on the Turnpike in which speed was a factor. I'll have sports and weather in just a moment.
Walkworthy takes place this Saturday in Canton, Ohio, and online. Have you signed up to be at this year's conference for men? If not, what are you waiting for? Join the men from Moody Radio Cleveland for the ministry of Mark Joe, James Ford, and Nick Gatsky, helping you to achieve your highest calling as a man. Walkworthy, Saturday, March 2nd. Register now. Text WALK to 440-546-2255 or go to moodyconferences.com.
In sports, everything was coming up roses. The Cavaliers defeated the Wizards 114-105. The Blue Jackets downed the Rangers 4-2, and the Penguins edged the Flyers 7-6. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Partly cloudy and warmer. Highs today in the lower 60s. That's right. And currently, clear skies. We're down to 39 degrees in Cleveland, 35 Akron and Canton. In Youngstown, it is 37 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
The ultimate goal of National Eating Disorders Association Week, celebrated in the last week of February each year, is to promote awareness of eating disorders and to spread hope for those in recovery and their families. Although there are many main factors like genetics that are responsible for eating disorders, they can commonly occur with other mental health issues like anxiety, major depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and social phobia. Some of the possible symptoms associated with eating disorders include constantly feeling cold, fainting, sleeping issues, weight fluctuations, dizziness, weakness, and impaired immunity. And that's your Moron Moment.
Moron
And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:04. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Good morning and happy Monday. It's Mornings with Brian on WCRF, and I can't believe it, but Walk Worthy is coming up on Saturday.
Wow.
I believe it'll be the first performance of a brand new group called That Girl.
Yes.
And we've had a number of people confused that there's actually, they're like, oh, there's one other woman on the show. No, there's actually two women, but they referred to you collectively as That Girl.
That's right. Whoever that girl is.
Whoever that girl. You guys said that you would perform something.
Yes, Mornings with Brian live.
You were trying to get out of it. Did you hear that? I could hear your mind trying to get out of it. You said like That Girl's going to perform live.
Yes,
we will be there.
Mornings with Brian live.
You're not going to do
all four
like
of us will be there.
Like a dance or a song or something, or like a
twerking.
Oh
no! What? No.
Were you not present for that last conversation, Ron?
Ronald.
So that girl's not going to sing like an a cappella song?
No, and we won't wear shorts either.
Yeah, please don't.
Only because it's the winter.
But yeah, the whole team's going to be there. We'd love to see you there. There's so many tickets sold, guys.
I know.
This could be the first time since COVID, before COVID, that we sell out.
Yeah, 2020 we sold out. And then we were, remote for 2 years, and so we're making our comeback.
I'm just waiting to hear from our friends at Canton Baptist Temple. Shut it down.
Please.
The fire marshal's going to get us.
If you want to see Ron in his tweed jacket, you got to buy a ticket now.
Did you dust it off yet?
No, but I've looked at it several times, and I've been thinking a lot about it.
I've looked at it.
Does it need dry cleaned? Like, how long has it been in the closet?
Oh, probably a vacuum would be fine.
A lint brush.
Yeah. I was going to say, does anything need to be dry cleaned? Really?
Speed it out.
Yeah, I think a vacuum would be fine.
What are you going to wear, Brian?
It's a point of stress for me that I haven't resolved yet. I thought about it yesterday, and then I forced myself to stop thinking about it.
I'm going to, in my mind, I'm saying what you're going to wear, and I'm going to see if it's true.
Mostly because of you is why I'm stressed out now.
Why?
Because you caught me wearing the same outfit like to 6 events in a row.
It's not hard to catch 6 times.
I'll never forget. Oh my goodness, that grandfather effect event I did.
Yep.
You and Emma from our podcast team. I said that someone recognized me at a Walmart from the podcast, and you said, "You sure it wasn't because you keep wearing that same outfit everywhere you go?"
Well,
I keep looking at that jacket in my closet, and I feel so sad for it.
Give it a couple of years. Give it that one a rest.
That poor jacket doesn't get worn anymore.
Yeah, give that one a rest. Wear it at church.
It'll be vintage again someday, like Ron, so you can wear it in 20 years.
20 years. It's such a great jacket. I like it.
Just give it 2024. Try again in 25, okay?
Now, Sarah and I got a new outfit.
You share
collectively?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying I don't really make fashion decisions very well alone.
Oh, so she helps you. Okay.
She picked it out. I've worn that a few times now.
Yeah, the orange one.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen you in that plaid shirt before, or at least it's been a couple weeks.
Well, no, I can't wear it this weekend now.
No.
People be like, "What, are you going to a rodeo, Brian? You wearing your Western shirt?"
Yeehaw.
Like, this is a thing. Why? I think I have an idea what I'm going to wear.
Just bring your whole suitcase like you do for
Oh
every
my gosh.
every event we do. He literally, we've had a couple of things where we've got cameras. He literally brings an entire suitcase.
Multiple pairs of shoes.
Actually,
must be his whole wardrobe.
Yeah, wear the brown boots. Okay, not the white Nikes, the brown boots.
Can't I was going to wear the white Nikes. What are you talking
fine.
about?
That's fine.
Why? But why did you say that?
I was just trying to give you some a different flair because you've been wearing those lately.
We were doing a video thing here the other day, and I don't know how many times you could have heard me yell, "Lauren! Lauren!" Go change your shirt, somebody would say to me. And I'd just be like, "I've worn 4 different shirts. I'm lost now."
You did good.
As in, you picked it and I put it on?
Yes.
It's a stress for me. Now I'm even more stressed out. I can't wear the sneakers, Ron. I was going to wear the sneakers, thinking I'm all Dr. Job cool, wearing my sneakers or whatever.
He wears boots.
Oh.
He will be wearing boots. Absolutely. Like a desert boot. Yep.
Like cowboy boots?
No.
I didn't know there was different types of boots.
Yeah, I'll look it up for you.
I thought there were snow boots and cowboy boots.
Oh my gosh. Desert boots.
Desert boot. Well, I've got desert boots.
He wears those types.
Okay.
You guys can match.
Why don't you guys hassle Ron? Like, he doesn't show up anywhere, so he doesn't
Ron's
matter.
wearing his tweed jacket. It's already been decided.
I've got a tweed jacket, but now I can't wear it because Ron is.
I'll wear mine too. We can match.
Well, if you want to see how poorly I decide, you could show up. Walkworthy Men's Conference. Dr. Nick Gatsky will be there, Dr. Mark Job. There'll be a gospel presentation, no doubt, at the end, an altar call. You've got to be there. Invite your friend who's spiritually open, maybe a coworker. Buy him a ticket before it's too late. We're almost sold out. I don't want you to be missing it, okay? There's donuts, there's Christian chicken, there's all the things, okay? A live version of the show. We're going to finalize all the details for the live hour of the show. We'll do right in front of you from stage. You can laugh at all of Ron's jokes in person, and he'll hear you. He will hear you. Okay, so text WALK before it's too late to 440-546-2255. Text WALK to 440-546-2255. 2255. Coming up in just a minute, what role does doubt play in the Christian life? We'll get to it here in just a moment.
Moody Radio is thankful for listeners and support from businesses like Duma Meats and Farm Market. Duma Meats and Farm Market, supporting Moody Radio in Cleveland and surrounding areas. More information about Duma Meats and Farm Market is at dumameats.com.
This is David Harms with the ministry India Partners, and I have walked through the red light districts of Mumbai, India numerous times, and trust me, it is dark. Young girls have no joy in their eyes because they feel they have no future, and they'll be stuck in the trade for the rest of their lives. But once they get into a safe house run by India Partners, well, just listen. That is God at work, which is why for the last year we've shared powerful stories of safety, rescue, and care happening through the India Partners safe houses. These girls are safe from harm, well cared for, and introduced to the transforming and healing love of Jesus. Learn more about the power of rescue and care in a safe house at indiapartners.org/Moody.
Everybody's going through something, which means everybody could use prayer. If you'd like our staff to pray for you, simply email your request to prayerworks@moody.edu, prayerworks@moody.edu.
At home, he's the dad who Ubers his kids around town. At church, he's the drummer that plays a little too loud during worship. But here, he's the guy who asks all the questions you wouldn't. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
20 WCRF. Can't wait for Walkworthy. It's going to be so much fun. We just keep chatting about it during the show. It's going to be a blast. And Daria's created a surprise for this that I don't even. I've refused to see, so I can be surprised by it when we be there. When we be there, that's what we say in English class. Okay, so there's an interesting article about doubt from. God, I'm struggling here. Really struggling. It's Monday. Leave me alone. No, doubt. And Christianity Today did an article on doubt. Okay, and it went through. It starts off with a big question. It says, "What makes Christianity hard?" Now they say that is a time-sensitive question, as in to the early church. What makes Christianity hard? Well, you might be like fed to the lions in the Colosseum. In the Middle Ages, maybe just the monotony of life and the difficulty of life would be hard. Just trying to survive. Can you think of what would make Christianity hard in your mind today? It's a big question.
I mean, it's countercultural. It's the opposite of what our culture wants to do.
Yeah.
It's ever pulling us in the opposite direction.
Increasingly so, right? Yeah.
I think especially in the West, one of the hardest parts is that we're so attached to our earthly lives that it makes true dedication difficult.
Yeah. When life becomes so great, when you live in affluence, you don't long for heaven. You're actually kind of like, Lord, can I stay a little longer? And that's not how we're supposed to feel.
No.
But we've reached that level, haven't we, of comfort and convenience here?
Yeah.
Very much so.
And having been in India recently, I can see how it's possible to be in a situation where you long for heaven. And my heart does, but I've caught myself doing those prayers. Like, Lord.
We still have flesh, though.
Right, yeah. Ron, what do you say makes Christianity hard today?
When you take that step from it just being nice stories about things working out better for you and realize, like Sky Jatani says, what if Jesus really meant what he said?
Yeah.
And you start to actually try to apply that. It is, like Lauren said, it's countercultural to what is considered normal in society in America today.
Now, the writer of the article, I don't know that they disagree with your conclusions. I think those are all certainly true in my life. They say what makes Christianity hard in our time is doubt. Doubt. So they go on to say doubt about God's existence, about the resurrection of Jesus, about miracles, about angels, demons, and the gifts of the Holy Spirit, about the biblical texts or the history behind them, or the church that gives us to them, about the credibility of all the above. And all that doubt perches on the precipice of a yawning chasm between back then and here and now, oppression and slavery and superstition versus liberty and human rights and science. Should we really accept unquestioningly the faith of our ancestors when we tend to think we're so much better than them in so many ways? And it doesn't help, he says, that doubt is in vogue. It's sexy. It's not only in the wider culture. It's just in the church it is.
Deconstruction.
Yeah. I cannot count the number of times I've been told by a pastor or a Christian professor that doubt is a sign of spiritual maturity. That faith without doubt is superficial, a mere honeymoon. And this guy has an answer to that. He says, actually, no. He says the doubt people get it right about two things. First of all, we want space to ask honest questions. You need to allow space for honest questions. Second of all, we want to remove stigma from doubt. I think there was a season in the American church where if you ask any hard questions, well, maybe you're not saved. That's a stigma that goes with doubt, right? We don't want that. But he says there's 4 ways people go wrong in saying doubt is like this awesome thing that's a sign of maturity. So first, pro-doubters universalize a particular experience. He says it's true that doubt is not a fake problem easily solved by spiritual bootstrapping, but is believing in an invisible God or the virginal conception of Jesus what makes Christianity hard for everyone, everywhere, and always? Read enough Christian literature in praise of doubt, and that's the impression you're going to get. It's that doubt is a universal experience. He's saying not everybody experiences significant seasons of doubt. Second, he says pro-doubters tend to describe doubt not just as a universal challenge, but as a necessary feature of mature faith. Like, if you don't experience a season of severe doubt, maybe you're not maturing. Third, pro-doubters go too far in making doubt a virtue. Doubt's not a sin, but that doesn't make it desirable, he says. It's not a virtue to doubt. And finally, pro-doubters mischaracterize the nature of questions. Questions aren't the same as doubts, he says. So, for example, doubt often entails questions. Questions do not always, and even normally, entail doubt. As in, sometimes you can just ask tough questions like, boy, I wonder how the Trinity works. It's a big thing to grasp. That's a question, not a doubt.
Right.
Or how can predestination and free will coexist? I just don't totally understand this. I'm not doubting that it does. I'm wondering how it works. So, is this person right to say that we shouldn't be so fast to make doubt the cool thing?
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be the cool thing, but I also don't think it needs to be a subject of shame if you're having a hard time. I think the people in the church should rally around you if you're going through a season of doubt.
You know, I've been a guy who says that I think most of us go through an experience of intense questioning. Like, you can't inherit your Christian faith. You can be like, oh, my mommy's a Christian, so I am too. You know, at some point, you've got to truly examine the Christian faith.
Right.
In an honest way that does involve, I've said in the past, like some measure of doubt in some way, where you go to try to find answers to questions. He's saying that's not the case.
Yeah, I think that's where I agree with him on most points, but I do think he's slightly off there because I do think that if your faith hasn't been tested, I'm not saying you're not saved, but it's probably a very surface level faith. So if you are going through these hard times where you are maybe having intense questions and maybe even some severe doubts, I think once you come off on the other side, and I can say this because I've been through that season, I think you're stronger.
Yeah, and is he almost splitting hairs, saying there's a difference between questions and doubts?
I think so.
I think there is a difference, like you were just illustrating, but I think it's okay and potentially even you shouldn't be seeking to have doubt, but I think it's potentially healthy to have some doubts.
Yeah, see, I've said some people get mad at Christians for saying that. Because there's this old saying, there's for decades, it was like, you go to church, the pastor tells you what the Bible says, and if they said it, it must be true. So stop your doubting.
Yeah, if you're not having doubts, then because the gospel is just so counterintuitive to what our brains are able to process and what our flesh wants to do, I think you should have some doubts. If you're really following after Jesus, like, is this really what I want to do? Is this really possible? And yeah, like for me, I did have an intense period of doubt in college, and I can tell you, I'm way better for it.
If you're comfortable sharing, can you give us some examples of what that looked like for you?
It was spiritually, it was probably the worst time in my life. I, at one point, told my parents, I don't know if I'm a Christian anymore. I was in such a dry season where I could not hear from God. And then he just kind of showed up, and it was beautiful.
So you actually verbalized that?
Yeah.
Good for you. That was probably hard to say.
It was very hard. I mean, my dad is one of the most spiritually mature people I know. So there was a lot of shame in saying, I don't think I'm a Christian anymore. And they said, well, we still love you.
But boy, to have you trust your parents with that, you got awesome parents.
I really do. They're great.
I mean, that's what I want for my kids, right? That they would have enough trust in me that they could say something really hard like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you had that safe environment may have been part of how God intervened in your life.
I think so, because that was kind of a paradigm shift, and I think that was part of the crux of it, because I thought I'm going to lose everybody in my life if I'm not attached to church, and I didn't. God showed me I wouldn't, and then he showed me that he was still there with them.
Now, with this author, help me on this one. I agree with him that we can't make doubt a virtue, and I think a lot of the church has turned doubt into like I'm doubting. It's great. Everybody should doubt. Doubting's good. Would you agree with me and him that we can't make doubt a virtue?
Oh, no. Like I said, that was probably among the worst 6 months of my life was that period I was going through.
Yeah, so it's perhaps those who turn it into a doubt maybe really haven't experienced serious doubt.
Right.
What's your take on that, Lauren? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you think about doubting Thomas, like he's not one that's held up in like, oh, you should be like this, or like, oh, this is what you should be doing. It's not bad and it's not wrong. And I think everyone goes through it, whether we are upfront about it or not. Everyone has questions. Everyone should have questions. You should be working out your faith in that way and asking questions. But I don't think it should be a virtue.
Now, you're a Moody grad.
Mm-hmm.
Moody grads couldn't possibly experience doubt.
Moody grads are the biggest doubters ever.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Because you spend 4 really intense years studying the Bible as your textbook, and you're kind of in this bubble of everyone, for the most part, thinks the same things as you. You might have difference of opinions on smaller things or whatever, but everyone is agreeing with you and thinks the same thing as you. And then you get out and the world is so different than what you've just been through. And you actually have to live out the word that you've been using as your textbook now. And you realize it's not as easy as it was when it was just a textbook. That the world doesn't come as easy as it seems and as you thought. And you just had these answers like this for all the questions you had because you weren't actually dealing with it. And then you get out and you're like, oh, this is actually hard. This is the question. The answers don't come as easy now because I'm in the real world. Now I'm not in my bubble of everyone thinks the same thing as me and I'm studying scripture as my textbook. A lot of people go through doubt and many of them don't come back from it after they attend Moody.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. It's hard to even talk about it without making it sound like it's so important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess I'm not with this guy either. That I think there's some measure of doubt we must experience to have it's when your faith is tested. And you have that moment.
There's lots of times in scripture where it talks about like the mysteries of scripture and the mystery of the gospel and the mystery of whatever. Mm-hmm. How can there be mystery if you don't have questions about it?
Well, he would say questions aren't doubts, Lauren.
Yeah, maybe I just don't agree with him on that.
Yeah, and see, for me, I remember vividly a time when I just felt a calling into radio. I left teaching to get into radio, and if the Lord had told me I'd spend 7 years not on the air hardly at all, I probably wouldn't have done it. Mm. And I remember walking. If you've been to Moody Bible Institute, you walk from the parking ramp through towards the arch. What's that big open area called?
The plaza.
The plaza. You walk in this big plaza. It's the middle of the winter, super cold, and I remember being like, "Hello." God, did you totally forget? Are you there? Are you looking at me at all? Look at me. I'm doing this for how long am I going to do this?
How long will you forget me? Forever?
Yeah, that's why I love that one so much because I felt that to my core. I was like, I know you're there, but I'm not even certain you care about individual people. Do you? Mm-hmm. Now, he does. And since then, I felt that individual care.
And now
that was an
looking
important
back,
moment for me.
You see what those 7 years did for you.
Exactly. It's where you look at that Romans 8:28 passage of God works all things together for the good of those who love him. Yeah. Like I can look back and go, that was good for me. Mm. It wasn't good. I mean, there was a lot of it that was really painful for me, but it was for my good. Mm-hmm. And I can see that now. But I think I genuinely doubted in that moment that he saw me.
Yeah. And you don't have to like doubt the entirety of the religion or the faith, but you can doubt aspects of it. Like I'm doubting that God actually sees me or God actually cares about me and my personal issues. Or I doubt this attribute of God that he is, all-knowing or something. There's no way he could know that this was going to happen and allow it to happen.
And that's where it's an important time to be sure you're being discipled by somebody. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have a pastor you can go talk to. But also that's when you pray those courageous prayers. You're like, Lord, I know you're there, but I don't know if you're looking at me. Yeah. Show me you're there. Please. He will. Mm-hmm. You talked about that, Daria.
Yeah.
He'll show up. So if you're in that phase where you're feeling some of that doubt, this is a safe place for people who experience doubt. You're not alone. But dare to lean into it. Dare to ask the Lord to reveal himself to you. And be open to seeing what he's going to do in your life. It might not be that day. It might take a few weeks, months, maybe a year or two. But he will show up. As in that old church saying I love, he may not show up when you want him, but he's always right on time. Mm. Coming up in a few minutes, we're gonna chat with you, and our station manager will stop by the studio as well.
Mornings with Brian, Moody Radio Cleveland, 101.5
plus health. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
8:38. He was out of town. We spent time together just weeping as a staff. It was difficult without him.
Yeah, it was hard to clean up the sackcloth and ashes that we were wearing.
Yeah.
But Bob did a great job cleaning it.
He sure did. But he's back from out of town at a conference. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, El Gran Jefe Josue Villa. Welcome back, Josh.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
He's
good to
clapping for
see
himself.
you. Well, I clap for everybody. I guess that was weird, wasn't it? Hey, good morning to see everybody. Good morning to see everybody.
It is a good morning.
That is your phrase of the day.
I've said plenty of phrases like that today. What did I say instead of doubt?
Gosh, I don't know.
Dolt.
Yeah, well, sometimes I feel like one of those, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to believe, Josh, we have so many things to talk about because there's lots happening this time of year at the station, but we do have our share campaign coming up in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, it's
2.5.
About 2.5. About 2.5 weeks. Leading into spring share, and that's always a crucial and pivotal time for us in ministry because we try to set the goal of what the budget's going to look like for the next 6 months. And we're grateful. We're thankful to the Lord for everyone who has been supporting this ministry throughout the year. And they've been doing it through their gifts. They've been doing it through monthly gifts, auto gifts, one-time gifts. Some people have even bequeathed certain, stocks, bonds, things like that, that help this ministry continue. Now, the caveat here is this. While we do need your gifts, we would appreciate your gifts. The Lord is the one who manages this radio station. It's not Josh. It's not Brian. It may be Ron.
It's definitely not Brian.
Definitely not Brian.
Kind of Lauren.
Yeah. But, as more and more as I talk to listeners, I get to hear impact stories of what this ministry has done or provided or allowed them to experience since 1958, November 1958. Now, last year, we just turned 65. I look great, don't I?
You do. It's hard to believe. Nice discounts for you now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, every time I go everywhere, I ask. So, but 65 years of ministry. If you think about business nowadays, if you hear of a business that's been in business for 25 years, 30 years, you think, wow, that's pretty impressive. Now, if you think about a business that's been active, going strong, growing, just flourishing for 40, 50 years, you go, that is impressive. But above 50 years, above 55, 60, 65 years, and moving strong, that is truly remarkable. And I have to say that this ministry has been sustained first, again, because of the Lord, through the faithful giving of our listeners. So we're grateful.
Big time. And we're excited about the upcoming share campaign. And what's amazing is it's been 65 years of the Lord moving through individual donors for so long.
Yeah.
The station itself was an idea of just the community of believers in this area.
Yeah.
That was brought to fruition because of the generosity of folks.
Absolutely.
And I'll be the guy to bring it up that just the way things work, most people who listen have never given.
That's not surprising, Brian. If you think about people that go to church, I believe it's something like less than 2% of the people that faithfully attend church actually tithe or give an offering. Less than 2%.
And it's probably about the same for us,
And it's roughly about the same for us. So there's a lot of people that are being ministered to that are being blessed by this ministry, and they think, okay, well, somebody else is going to do it. This is the opportunity for you to jump in and to give a gift. And it's real simple. The phone lines will be open shortly, but the best way to do it right now is by going to moodyradio.org/Cleveland. You click on the big green button that says Give, and you'll see the share banner and all that. And you can click on that, and you can give safely, securely, quickly. And that could be the first gift that you give as you listen throughout the week.
You can also text SHARE to 440-546-2255. Text SHARE. We'll send you a link to go give online as well.
Absolutely.
And we do have to mention as well that inflation impacts radio stations, does it not?
Yes, it does. It does. Everything increases in price. And it would be beautiful to see that also those gifts increase in price. And over time, you look at your electric bill, you look at your water bill, you look at all those things, and those increase over time. So I would say, would you be prayerful about considering increasing your gift and just kind of nudging it up just a little bit more as the Lord would so have you give, that it would generate an impact for many more people.
And then we also are looking for the matching gifts. If you listen, people love it when someone's like, oh, hey, now a dollar for dollar match. We need the people on the other end of that, the Daddy Warbucks of Cleveland or something.
Exactly, Daddy Warbucks. I think I passed him on my way to work this
Great
morning.
guy.
Yeah.
Really good to orphans. Yeah,
exactly. But that's kind of my strength, or my wheelhouse, if you will. I love talking to business owners. I love talking to ministry partners. I love talking to people who have been blessed at a certain level. I'm not a Dave Safransky-esque type because I don't have the cannons that he has. But
you're pretty ripped, though.
Well, if I put my pants on tight enough, they will rip. So, but I love talking to ministry partners and business owners around the community in the area, Northeast Ohio, Western Pennsylvania. Hey, come on, we'll even go down to Columbus, Cincinnati. If you've been blessed and you feel led by the Lord to provide a gift, if it's $2,500, that's great. If it's $1,000, that's wonderful. But there's people that are listening that are business owners that could give a gift, a matching gift of $5,000, $10,000. And what that does is, as you said, Brian, it unlocks the opportunity. There's a lot of people that listen to Share every single year, and they're waiting for the announcer to say, now your Share gift is going to be matched dollar for dollar. And it seems like the floodgates open and everybody just kind of starts calling and they go online and everything. Well, that can only happen when people like you that are listening are able to call in or mail in or go online and give a matching gift.
Yeah, and those can be given in one chunk. I believe they can probably be given on a monthly commitment.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, if you missed it, it's not just individuals, but businesses can do this. It's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses need to do these kind of things, and you can certainly give to Moody Radio as part of that.
And you know, there's over the last couple of years, I've spoken to churches that are doing matches now. So they've given $3,000, $3,500. Then the churches say, we want to pitch in. We want to be a partner in ministry with you because you feed our listeners throughout the week from Sunday to Wednesday or whatever it is. And they've jumped in and they've been very careful to say, please don't say our name, which I'm not going to say their name. But, I mean, that's wonderful to do. Also, if you're a church, a ministry, I don't know.
We have churches that give.
Absolutely.
It's part of the missions budget. A lot of churches set aside parts of their budget for that. And if you feel like this is a partner ministry for your church, please remember us in that because I believe it is a mission.
Yeah.
I mean, we are out there. We're not only sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, but we're helping strengthen the flock in our community. And we need support to do it. So we always encourage you to give to your church first. Tithe
absolutely
to your church. Your tithe goes to your church, not us.
Absolutely.
But we're asking for gifts and offerings on top of that.
Above and beyond. If there's something that you can do above and beyond that goes beyond what you've done for your church, beyond what you've done for the shepherd of your flock, your church, all of that, then this is a great place to sow a seed. Now, we've always wanted to start anywhere between 20 to 25% of our overall goal. We're sitting at 13.8% right now.
Oh. Well, there you go.
That's not bad. That's a little over 10%. What is it? Yeah, 20.
Don't look at me.
I was told there'd be no math when you hired me.
23. Yeah, that's a little under 12% from 25%. So
if you want
a little bit of way to go.
If you want more information, just text SHARE to 440-546-2255 or send us a note. We'd be happy to connect you with Josh. I don't know, go on the internet, find the phone number. Josh would love to talk to you. He's a lot of fun, this Josh, for you.
Well, I want to say thanks to Anthony in Solon, who gave a gift of $300. Also,
thanks,
Joseph in Cleveland, $150. Brian,
not me.
$25, unless you live in Apple Creek, Ohio.
I do not.
Apple Creek, Ohio.
Never heard
Marcy in Monroe Falls, $250. Donna, Northfield, right by my neck of the woods, $100. Linda, $100. Dynamite. Brian, I didn't know you could do that.
I'm good at impressions.
I hope I pronounced this name right. AFAF, listening in Strongsville. The uniqueness of his gift, $366.
What's a leap year?
Thank you. Yeah.
Wait, what?
What?
Terrific.
Right.
Who was that, Ron?
Ron is ready.
You know who that was?
Tom Terrific.
Oh,
old cartoon. from
Terrific.
Years
There you
gone by.
go. Pamela Macedonia gave $300. The list goes on and on.
And you can be anonymous if you want to do that, okay?
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, more information, again, text us, 440-546-2255. Coming up in just a minute, we're going to force Josh to stay here. He's the boss. He'll stay if he wants. If he's gone, it's because he chose to leave. We're going to talk about Walk Worthy. It's almost sold out. Woo. Listen in.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
Moody Radio is on the air thanks to support of listeners and Hawkins Sales. They've been serving the electrical industry nationwide for over 30 years. More information about Hawkins Sales is at hawkinssales.com.
Pour another cup of coffee and settle in for engaging, Christ-centered conversations. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
8:49, super excited about Walk Worthy Men's Conference is this Saturday, not the next one, this one,
right,
at Canton Baptist Temple, featuring Dr. Nick Gatsky. Bless you.
Salud.
May the Lord bless you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Dr. Nick Gatsky, Dr. Mark Jobe, Dr. James Ford.
And Dr. Brian Dolan.
I will not, I can't say that.
Right.
I'm waiting for it in an honorary sense.
Okay.
Maybe it'll happen this weekend. Probably it won't. We've got worship. We've got Christian chicken. We've got gift bags for the guys. There's T-shirts if you get your thing. It's amazing. Why wouldn't you go to this thing? But it's filling up, Josh.
And the world's best donuts.
World's best donuts.
Yes, absolutely. It's filling up. We are close to 900 seats right now. Now, I'll just give you an idea. The floor right now, the way it stands, the floor of Canton Baptist Temple, for those who have ever been there before, is, for all intents and purposes, packed.
Oh, wow.
I would say that you're probably going to be sitting in the nosebleed section up at the top behind the sound perch that they've got up there.
Well, and we usually sell...
Which are great seats.
Well, they're all great seats.
Yeah.
So it's one of the reasons we're at Canton Baptist Temple.
Right.
But we usually sell, dare I say, 100 to 200 seats. This is just a few days before the event.
That's average. It's been more, but...
It's been more.
It's been more than that.
And this is why I'm saying that we're close to sellout. And we did have a sellout event right before COVID.
Yeah, it was the last event right before COVID.
I'm saying like 3 weeks before the shutdown.
3 weeks before the shutdown. And that was if not at 1,400 seats, it was just shy of that. And the place was rocking, if you remember. So.
And we had to actually shut down registration. And it's like everybody, COVID messed things up.
Yeah.
We're excited to be very close to that again. The whole team's... You're going to be there.
I'll be there.
Can people...
shuttling around, and people can say hi.
Give you a long hug or anything?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will take all the long hugs that you won't. I'm a huggy kind of guy.
You are a huggy kind of guy.
I'm a huggy bear.
Well, your radio name was Sugar Bear.
It was Sugar Bear, but ever since then, I've brought my blood sugar level down. So,
but you can be like, give me some sugar. I'm Sugar Bear.
That's awkward.
Lauren's
that
face.
is awkward.
Brian, you can't say stuff like that.
I can't say stuff like that?
No, please.
It means a
Make
hug.
sure that we're not on the air.
It means a
No,
hug.
it doesn't.
But
Yeah,
anyway.
you know that.
Yeah, Brian.
I thought it meant a hug.
Ron,
don't abandon me again, Ron.
Sorry, Sugar Bear.
Wow. So this is the opportunity that you have literally this week to go online and grab your tickets Walkworthy. We're going to have so much going on at Walkworthy. Obviously, you've got the atrium there where everybody's welcome to come in, and there's going to be staff from Moody Radio Cleveland. There's going to be our wonderful family from CBT, Canton Baptist Temple. Love them. They're amazing. They're the best. And we've got the whole center area. I can't remember what the name of it is right now. It escapes me, where they've got the radio station booths and Moody Publishers
all
and
the books.
Canton Baptist Temple
Bring
and
your
all
money.
the books. Yeah, so that's a wonderful opportunity. And then we feed you. I don't know very many guys that go, there's no food, I'll still go.
Yeah, no.
I mean, obviously, we'll go if there's no food. But, a nice hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate with a super soft, fluffy donut. I see Daria's mouth is already starting to water. So
we give the women donuts.
We do. We do. Yeah, they
Wow.
We're allowed to eat. You don't just shove us in the closet for the whole time.
They actually run the show.
Yeah.
If you look at the team that puts together Walkworthy, everything from our Chicago team, which Lauren was a part of for many years, and now she's here, and Daria with WCRF, and then you go to CBT and you look at their team, they're led by women. That's a beautiful team down there, too. Just incredible hearts for Jesus.
And now we have like 4 or 5 women telling me what to do.
And it's the way it should be.
And
you and I walking alone is not going to work.
Are you going to tell me no on something again this year, you think?
Please do.
No, I'm not in charge of that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm only in charge of this show.
You tell me no like every day.
Yeah.
So why would Saturday be different?
Well, just not about the conference, because that's not under my oversight anymore.
Oh, she'll have plenty of things that she can say no to
something
you
else.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, now
He'll find something.
Yeah, she will.
we have a special appearance of a brand new Christian band that
We
I've
do.
declared exists.
Okay. This all happened the week that I was out?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
somebody,
Oh,
can you give the
wonderful.
backstory?
I think it was an email.
Yeah, it was an
Someone
email.
emailed and they were upset about something, but they said, and whoever that girl is dry as the Sahara Desert. So, well, first of all,
Yeah, so what?
first of
so-
all, there's
yeah.
2 of us.
Lauren and I are collectively
We're a we.
that girl.
Where are we?
We're a we.
Dry as a desert.
And so I was like, that
Would be
sounds like
that
a
girl.
great Christian band name. These 2 are that girl.
That girl. That is really cool.
And they committed
We
to
are
a
that girl.
performance at the first performance of that girl at the men's conference.
Wow.
Right, ladies?
Yep, Mornings with Brian live.
And they keep changing the story the moment we
No,
get
I don't think
closer
so.
to it. I thought it was going to be like a, back streets back. All right. Some kind of like
Okay.
thing like that. No?
Nope.
Enough of
Thank
that.
you.
So time still remains, even though it's limited. Grab your tickets now. You text the word WALK to 440-546-2255 to grab your tickets. What I'd like to see is in the next couple of minutes that we have left, can you guys, somebody text in who is coming from, I'd love to see who's coming from the farthest. I mean, we had people 2 or 3 years ago, if it wasn't right around the last Walkworthy before COVID, we had somebody from Arkansas, I think it was, that drove in.
Yeah.
I've spoken to 2 churches who are bringing their men's group down from Michigan.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
My uncle Gordy is coming from Southern Illinois. He called me. He was like, "Hey, Brian, I'm coming."
Wow.
And
That's
so
fun.
he's
That's
flying into
cool.
Cleveland. And, he's almost in
Oh,
St. Louis,
wow.
I think, is actually where he might be now.
He's
I guess I
driving
should
or-
keep track of my uncle.
Yeah. You driving? He's driving?
No, he's flying into
Oh.
Cleveland, and then he's renting a
Well,
car
that's
and doing the whole thing.
It's a slow
pretty far.
flight if he's barely wherever you said he was.
I'm not in charge of all that.
But
barely in
anyway.
charge of myself.
So here's the cool thing about it. You're going to be able to reach out to our team, touch them, hug them, have fun with them, see if Brian can tell you a
No, but Josh,
dad
see,
joke.
they've been dialing
Maybe
this
not.
back.
Yeah, you guys aren't huggers. That's
I was
right.
like, "Oh, we'll shake hands and kiss babies," and the ladies are like, "No, you can't kiss babies."
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, if some dude brings his baby, I can't be like, "Can
It's
I kiss your
respiratory
baby?"
virus season, Brian. You can't kiss
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah. But the beautiful part about it is that you'll be up on stage, so you can send a virtual hug or just from a distance.
You
from
can
the
wave to
stage.
Lauren.
Wave
You can
to
wave to
Lauren.
that girl, both
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
right? You'll accept a wave. Is that allowed?
Yeah, we'll meld into one and we'll both wave at the same time.
Wow.
For Halloween, we should go as each other.
like a hologram.
You could dress
That's
exactly
weird.
alike.
No, we'll
That'd be
dress
hilarious.
opposites.
So,
Just
can somebody,
opposites.
so can somebody text in where they're coming from? I would love to see that before I leave.
Yeah, I mean, we have listeners from Texas. We have Canada. We had one from Australia. Crikey. We had somebody listening to us. 440-546-2255. Tell us.
I met a gentleman while I was in Nashville that watches the morning show stream on YouTube, and he was hoping to be able to get to Walk Worthy.
And he lives in Tennessee?
Atlanta.
Lives in Atlanta.
Come on up.
Hot Atlanta.
In Hot Atlanta.
You know what I also would like to do?
Yeah.
Give away a pair of tickets.
Let's do that.
Right now?
Yeah, like right now.
Yeah, now. Okay, let's go. Caller number 9. Caller number 9, 440-546-2255 gets 1 ticket or 2?
A pair of tickets.
A pair of tickets.
Bring a
Look
pal.
at that.
So text right now, caller number 9, 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. We're starting to get texts in of who's coming from where. We got Ron from Medina driving in. Ron literally texted the show to say he's driving in. But we do want to hear how far you are. Like if you're way out in Atlanta or whatever.
Atlanta.
Give us a text down there in Atlanta.
But you got to call in for a ticket right now.
Yeah. 440-546-2255.
Caller number
9.
Number 9.
And we'll have to do a pop quiz or something while we're there. Who drove the furthest or flew
make
the
him stand
furthest.
up.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely make him stand up.
You think our friend from Australia is going to comment? That's not
doubtful.
a knife.
That's
this
a really
is
expensive
a knife.
flight.
Yeah, doubtful. You never know.
That's an expensive flight.
We had a friend stop by Women's Conference from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stop being Doubting Lauren over there.
How many accents can you do, Brian?
Like all of them.
I didn't know if that was like British.
That was horrifying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
British or.
No, that's not a knife. This is a knife. That's like Crocodile Dundee right there.
Yes, it is.
Crikey. And Crocodile Dundee.
440-546-2255. We got 30 seconds.
Good day,
Caller number
mate.
9. And,
I'm sorry. Is Dave Stefanski calling us right now trying to win tickets? This guy.
Yeah, probably.
Jeez.
He wants to give tickets away. He wants to give tickets
Dave,
away.
come on, man. Dave.
Come on.
So we're really
we
close.
can see your name, Dave.
We're really close to almost selling this out. I mean, it's starting to get really uncomfortable. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
You don't want to miss it. Trust me.
You don't want to miss Brian's plaid.
I'm not wearing plaid, Lauren. Now I'm definitely not wearing. She's making me so nervous about what I'm going to wear.
You know, in the meetings in Nashville, I was talking to Dr. Job, and he was super excited about hearing the numbers and the growth. And he was telling me, I can't wait to get up on stage. And I was thinking, is he going to stay on stage?
No, he won't.
That's the question.
That's okay.
We're going to be like, listen, you have to. You can't.
We should get him a
leave the stage.
hoverboard.
He would use it.
Oh, that'd be fun. The little one that has like the one wheel that you zip around on.
Yeah.
We should even try like seeing if it works to do the opposite. Say, don't run. See if he runs this year. Maybe he'll run.
I've never seen him run.
We tell him don't leave the stage, and he does. Don't run. Maybe he'll start doing laps.
Wow.
Don't do laps.
I've seen him hop off a stage, like a pretty high stage.
No hopping,
Wow.
Dr. Job.
Did we get our winner already, Daria?
Yeah, congrats to Juanita.
Hey! Congrats, Juanita.
That's impressive how many women have been winning tickets to the men's conference.
All right, I'm going to get in trouble from all my bosses if we don't end the show now. It's getting very
we gotta
late.
go.
God bless you. We'll get your ticket to Walk